two unhinged Reddit threads. I caught my boyfriend jerking it to videos of people dying, and I don't know what to do. I don't even know how to say any of this. I, 26 female, just found out my boyfriend, who's 28 male, the person I've loved for over 5 years, has been jerking it to videos of people dying. I caught him red-handed, and I can't stop replaying it in my head. And also, the OP here didn't say videos of people dying, but it's synonymous with that. Just horrific videos on the internet that are very graphic and of people dying. That is a man who has always been so sweet and gentle, unlike anyone I've ever met before. Like genuinely kind to his core. He won't even kill spiders. He just traps them in a cup and puts them back outside. He's sweet, caring, patient, soft-spoken. Literally has never even raised his voice at me or made me feel unsafe in any kind of way. Yesterday, I walked into our office really late at night, and at first I thought he was just gaming or watching adult videos, and I didn't even care. I figured, whatever, it happens. But it wasn't adult videos. It was horrific videos of people dying. The most disgusting, graphic videos of real people being hurt in the most brutal ways, and he was jerking to it. I didn't say anything because what am I supposed to say or do in that situation? I just turned around and walked straight into the bathroom and cried until I felt like I was going to throw up. I wish I could unsee it. I can still picture the screen, the sounds he was making, and him sitting there like it was completely normal to be doing what he was doing. I don't think I've ever felt so sick in my life. I thought I knew him, and now I don't even want to be in the same room as him. I don't feel safe around him, and I don't know if that's rational or not. I can't touch him, can barely speak to him. I can't even look him in the eyes without feeling this sense of dread and disgust. Now my mind keeps spiraling. Like, what if this escalates? What if there's something seriously wrong with him? I mean, this isn't normal. This is sick. He's sick. I'm sitting here crying while typing this because I don't know what to do or who to talk to. I feel completely alone in this. I can't tell my friends or family because it feels too heavy, too gross and grotesque to even say out loud. I'm scared they'll look at me differently or think I'm exaggerating. I don't know what to do. Part of me wants to pack my things up and never come back. But I'm in shock. And I can't just throw away 5 years of my life, of the life me and him built together. I can't stop crying. I can't eat. I can't sleep. I just needed to get this out somewhere because I feel like I'm losing my mind. I forgot to specify, but he didn't notice that I walked in on him, since he was wearing headphones and was very engrossed with what was happening on his screen. And now that I've seen a handful of people ask, yes, he was 100% watching videos of people dying. Not adult videos, not any sort of crazy adult videos. This was straight up horrific videos. People being severely injured and or killed. No doubt about it. And then the OP makes an update on this post and says he definitely knows something is up, but I feel very unsafe being alone with him while confronting him about this whole thing, so I haven't brought it up. But it's getting late, and I hope he's asleep. I've made the decision to leave him a note and go stay at my brother's place for the night. since I'm honestly horrified my boyfriend might do something while I'm asleep. Which, yes, I know seems irrational and maybe a bit dramatic, but I don't know what to think or feel anymore. I'm really exhausted. I'm trying my best." And then the OP makes another update on that same post saying, "I stopped by our house a bit ago just to grab a few of my things, and it was awful. I went while he was still at work just to be safe. Some of my stuff was gone or ruined. He had tossed some of my clothes out, and a few personal items had been broken as well. Some irreplaceable and very sentimental items that he's very aware means a lot to me. I don't know if it was done in a fit of rage or if it's some effed up way to try to punish me for leaving, but it scared me a lot. I have never seen him act this way. I grabbed what I could and left right away. I'm going back to stay with my brother for now. He's been blowing up my phone, and I'm seriously considering blocking his number for the time being. I need some time to get my thoughts together and figure out what to do next, but I'll update again when I can. Maybe make a new post so this one doesn't become too long and disorganized. Thank you to everyone for supporting me and being so kind and understanding. I'm still trying to wrap my head around this." And now let's get into some of the top comments. Someone says, "I can't even wrap my head around this." Be honest with yourself. There has to be a red flag or two somewhere in your relationship. Someone else says, "Get the F out. Mourn over the relationship before people have to mourn over you. That's Dahmer territory, girl." And then someone replies to that saying, "This, OP, leave now while you can." Another user says, "I've never understood sentences like, I can't just throw away 5 years of my life. First, you lived during those years. Maybe you worked, went out with friends, took vacations, visited family, and took hikes with your dog. All of that is your life. Your relationship is just one aspect of your life. In addition, you didn't even lose 5 years of the relationship. You lived it. You have the experiences, the memories, and the wisdom you gained from it. You didn't lose any years. You lost, abruptly, a person you thought you knew in favor of one you didn't, which makes you legitimately concerned, afraid, and left with the realization that some of the unknown parts of this person were parts you colored in the way you wanted. Most of us do that. It's okay. Help yourself before you worry about helping him. Be safe. I say get out of there and worry about the details later, but do what makes sense. You didn't throw away anything. The world just seems a little different when something like that happens, as it should. You're not pretending it didn't happen or minimizing it, and you're communicating about it, even if only here so far. You'll make it. Hang in there and take the next safe, careful, and possibly immediate step you need to take." Another user says, "Hi girl, I'm so disturbed for you and I'm so sorry you feel like you don't have anyone to go to. I want to give him the benefit of the doubt. Maybe he was just curious, but that is something odd to be curious about. Are you scared at all for your safety? Does this make you feel like he may be interested in hurting you or someone else? And did he see that you saw what he was doing?" And the OP responds saying, "Realistically, I know he would never try to hurt me, but I'm honestly so unsure at this point. He's never been violent and is rarely ever angry, but I don't know what to think anymore. He won't hurt me. I'm almost 100% sure of that, but I don't know if he'll hurt someone else. I doubt he saw that I walked in, but he definitely knows something is up. I just don't know how to confront him about this." Another commenter says, "You're going to have to talk to him about this, but if you don't want to, or if it makes you too uncomfortable, then you should leave him. He needs psychological help and should speak to a psychiatrist or at the very least a therapist. Just because he is aroused by horrific videos doesn't make him an evil person or a serial killer. It's very possible that something very traumatic happened to him. He might not even remember. Also, I did want to say that if you decide to continue down this road with this person, he may never be normal. He might also one day decide to act on these fantasies, either with you or someone else. What he has is called, I'm not even going to name it, but basically he's interested in those horrific videos, and it is far from normal. Your best bet is to cut all ties with this person and be extremely cautious for the next 6 to 12 months. He might be the nicest person in the world, but one day, that might not be enough to stay his hand in acting on these fantasies. Maybe he is only able to stop himself from acting on these fantasies 99 out of 100 times. And the OP replies and says, "That's what I've been thinking about. I don't know what made him this way, and I'm worried about him. I swear he wasn't like this when we met. If something happened while we've been together, why wouldn't he have told me? I'm just so confused." And then the OP discusses her boyfriend's intimate drive and the possible past trauma. And the OP says, "He is a very intimate person, and I've told him it's all right if he needs to watch adult videos or whatever, since my intimate drive is different than his. I don't want to be too descriptive, but he does tend to get very rough, where sometimes he'll hold me down and I feel like I can't escape. Or he'll grab me really hard and shove me, stuff like that, but he always stops if I tell him to. Looking back on it now, those are probably red flags, but at the time, I just thought he was trying to be a little bit out there. I don't know. Thank you for the advice. I appreciate it lots." Another commenter says, "Did you have any friends you were close to before you started dating him? I saw that you feel a bit isolated now since all of the people you socialize with are now through him. If you have any old friends that didn't end on bad terms, like you just drifted apart, I would suggest reaching out to one of them. Let them know your situation. You think you're just starting to realize your boyfriend has been abusive and he's left you feeling trapped with nowhere to go. I can't speak for strangers, but I know myself and a lot of people in my life would help an old friend. Even if we had a falling out, if they reached out to us in a situation like yours." And the OP responds saying, "I've never had a lot of friends, unfortunately. Me and him moved across the country a few years ago now, so I lost contact pretty fast with the couple of friends I did have. I also highly doubt any of my old friends would respond or care or even believe me if I told them this. I'm not sure if he has been abusive because he has never purposefully tried to hit me or shout at me. Edit. I know a lot of women are in danger in their own relationship and they are getting harmed by their partner. And I don't think it'd be fair for me to say that I'm going through what they are going through, but I do feel a bit trapped right now. You're right." And then the OP posts an update 3 days later. And let's get into it. "I didn't expect my other posts to garner that much attention. It's honestly been a bit overwhelming. I want to say thank you to everyone who reached out with advice and support. I've read so many of your comments and DMs, and I honestly don't know what I have done without the encouragement and kindness I received here. I'll update again when things are more stable, but for now, I just want everyone to know that I'm safe. Here is the update some of you have been asking me for. My now ex-boyfriend somehow found out I was staying with my brother and showed up unannounced late last night. That in itself was terrifying. But I finally confronted him about what I had seen, and he almost immediately broke down. He started crying and saying that he didn't mean for me to see that he didn't know what was wrong with him and that he's sick, and kept repeating, "You need to help me," over and over again. I felt awful. He made me feel responsible for all of this, and I felt guilty for being scared, for leaving, and for not saving him. I don't know what triggered this response, but he went from crying to being downright furious in seconds and became very loud and aggressive. He backed me into a corner and slammed his hand against the wall right next to my head a few times. I was honestly convinced he would actually try to hurt me in that moment. He told me if I didn't come home, he didn't know what he might do. And he insinuated that our cats wouldn't be safe And he said if anything happens to him or our cats, I would only have myself to blame. Thankfully, my brother intervened. The police now know what's going on, and I'm working on getting the help and support I need. But I still don't have my cats. I have no idea what to do. They're technically his cats since he bought them, so legally I can't do much. All I can do is hope he hasn't hurt them, and just wait. That part is really killing me. I have no idea how to process any of this. I feel like I'm still in shock. Part of me keeps hoping this is just some nightmare I'll wake up from, but it just continues to get worse. I feel so confused and heartbroken. I still want to see the good in him, but I don't know if that person even exists anymore. Did that person even exist in the first place? I love him so much, but he doesn't feel like the man I love anymore. I wanted to marry and start a family with this man, and everything came crashing down because I was afraid. It's confusing, and it hurts in a way I can't fully describe. And then, small update, he has now sent me multiple pictures to show me that he has indeed SH'd. I don't even know how many voicemails he has left at this point, but he doesn't sound angry anymore. He's just crying and begging me to come home. I know he's trying to manipulate me, but I feel like a piece of shit right now. As far as I'm aware, the cats are okay. I'll go back home maybe tonight or tomorrow morning to get my stuff, and hopefully he'll allow me to take the cats with me. And now let's get into some of the top comments. Someone says, please get a restraining order. If your brother is out, try and have a friend with you. Maybe split your time between a friend's house and your brother's so he never knows where you are. Make sure you turn your location off on photos and apps, including Find My Friends if you have that. If it's legal to carry pepper spray in your country, please do so. And then the OP responds and says, unfortunately, I can't legally carry any pepper spray or anything like that, even if it's for self-defense, but I will look into getting a restraining order ASAP. Edit, I live in Europe. I can't legally carry any weapons, and I need a permit to carry any sort of pepper spray or anything that can be used for self-defense. And then someone asks if the OP can get a can of spray paint or body paint in the tiny size, if that is allowed. And the OP says, oh yeah, I think so. My brother actually recommended I use a small bottle of hairspray since it's very sticky and will likely help a lot if I aim for the eyes. Another commenter says, first of all, I'm so glad you left and I'm so sorry you are going through this. I cannot truly fathom how horrifying and traumatic this would be to experience, but my heart goes out to you. Please do not return to him or to the home you shared with him, nor attempt a rescue mission yourself. I love cats with all my heart and soul, but if you go back, I am not sure you will ever walk out again. Not only are you his victim of 5 years and his reaction to you finding out is proof plenty that he is not afraid to hurt you, you have seen under his mask and are now also a threat to him faking being a good person. I'm relieved you have contacted the police. I think you should call the local ASPCA or other local animal rescue agency and inform them that your ex is threatening the welfare of the cats and that he currently lives and has access with them. Let the professionals who have safety gear and training save the kitties. I hope they are delivered into your care unscathed and quickly. I also want to add that regardless of what he does, it is not your fault. His actions are 100% his choices. He can blame you, as many abusers do, but that doesn't make it true. His actions are not your fault. It is understandable that you are feeling so many emotions in this. It's okay to grieve the relationship and the future you have planned. Whether the version of him that you loved ever existed, well, I cannot say how much purely was a mask and what may have been real, but that doesn't truly matter. Your safety is what matters. Someone who would threaten to harm your cats is someone who is dangerous. This is not happening because you are afraid. It is happening because he is dangerous and you fortunately realize the truth. Seriously, I cannot stress this enough. This is not your fault. It is understandable that you feel like this right now, but it truly isn't. If you hadn't found out, he still would have been dangerous. It just would have been longer before you knew just how dangerous. You could have wound up finding out years down the line after having kids and living in some isolated place far from family and friends. It likely doesn't feel like it right now, but it is a blessing to find out sooner than later. I'm wishing you the best, OP. I'm so sorry you and your kitties are going through this. And the OP responds and says, I will not be returning home on my own anytime soon. Don't worry. I'm currently looking into any and all options I have to get the cats as far away from him as possible. The police isn't very helpful, unfortunately, but I'm sure you're right that contacting an animal shelter/rescue is the move. And then someone asks if the OP can report the possible animal abuse to ASPCA. Are the cats microchipped to her and her boyfriend? And the OP responds and says, we do not have ASPCA, which is American Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals, which is only in the United States. And the police doesn't seem very willing to help with this specific problem. It's very frustrating. I'll call around in the morning and figure something out. And then the OP also adds, everything is registered under his name, literally everything. I feel so stupid for not at least having my name also be registered at the vet or on the chip or just anything. Thank you for the advice though. And then someone asked the OP if her ex has been diagnosed by a doctor regarding his behavior. And the OP responds and says, I'm not exactly sure. As far as I'm aware, he doesn't have any mental disorders or personality disorders. And honestly, I don't know a lot about borderline personality disorder, but I guess he fits some of the criteria. I'm not totally sure. I'll for sure look more into it though. Thanks. And then the OP makes an update 1 week later, and let's get into it. I'm sorry. I didn't expect so many people to remember me or worry, and it honestly feels weird seeing strangers online care more than some of the people I talk to in real life. I didn't mean to vanish. I just mentally could not handle reading or talking about anything related to this situation for a while. Thank you again for showing support and caring enough about me to check in. It means a lot to me. A lot has happened since my last update. I didn't end up going back the next day like I said I would. I was terrified and I kept going back and forth, convincing myself I was overreacting, then underreacting, then being dramatic, then not being dramatic enough. I went back to my house Thursday and I made sure to go at a time where I knew my ex would be at work. My brother came with me, of course, but he stayed outside to keep an eye out in case my ex came back unexpectedly. As soon as I stepped into the house, I saw that my ex seemed to have destroyed a lot of furniture and a lot of my belongings as well. I don't even care about that anymore. I have no idea how to say this part because I know it's my fault, and I could have done something to prevent it if I just hadn't been such a coward. I don't need hundreds of comments telling me I'm a horrible person and that I failed my cats because I know I did. And I'm sorry. One of our cats is gone. Nowhere to be found. I'm convinced she ran away, maybe escaped through the open window or something, but upstairs, in our bed, my other cat was dead. I don't know how much I'm allowed to say here without breaking any rules, but it was brutal and inhumane. I've never felt that kind of gut-wrenching, overwhelming dread and terror in my entire life. I thought he was manipulating me or trying to scare me into coming back when he threatened me and our cats. Having known him for as long as I have, I would have never guessed he would hurt an animal, especially not my sweet girl. I hate myself for being so dumb and naive. I'm doing everything I can to find my other cat. I still don't know what to think or feel, and it's like I haven't even fully processed that any of this is real. I'm really sorry that this update probably isn't what you wanted to hear. I feel like my life is falling apart, and there's nothing I can do to stop it from spiraling further and further out of my control. And that is the last update we have ever received from the OP. And just, oh my God, this is the most horrific thread I have ever read. I mean, truly, all of this from the beginning to the end was nothing short of horrifying. And I wish we got some, closure and knew that the OP is safe, but we haven't received an update since then. And so I really just have to hope that the OP is safe. But wow, the OP's ex-boyfriend, obviously threatened the OP, but killed their cat, which is just truly just gut-wrenching and as horrific as it can be. Wow, that is just so horrible. And I really hope that the OP is safe and doing better now, but geez, man, that is just beyond horrible. Am I the asshole for calling my friend a creepy weirdo after she posted a TikTok about my husband? I, 28 female, am friends with this girl. Let's call her June, also 28 female. In fact, my husband, who's 32 male, and I often hang out with June and her boyfriend, i.e. go on double dates, have weekend trips, etc. We've known each other for over 2 years. I would say that we four were pretty tight as a group, up until this weekend. My husband is an orthodontist. One of his parents is June's half-sister, Rhea, who's a teenager. June often is the one accompanying Rhea to her dental appointments. June is also a small-time online influencer. She's always recording and vlogging and stuff. Though my husband and I have made it clear to her, and we're absolutely not okay with our faces in her vlogs online, and she seemed to respect that boundary. We don't use social media, apart from Reddit, and we trusted her word when she said she's not gonna post us online. Cut to last weekend. My brother sent me this TikTok link with the message, "Dude, you gotta watch this." I opened the link, and it directed me to June's TikTok account. She doesn't have that many followers, less than 10K, but the particular video he sent me had like 500,000 likes. I'm not sure which. Lo and behold, it was a video compilation of my husband with the title, "God, I see what you've done for others." The video was honestly the creepiest thing I've ever seen. She had recorded my husband during various of our double dates together, and it was clear he wasn't even aware he's being recorded. In some of the clips, she would start with her face and then pan the camera toward my husband with a cutesy expression and mouthing words like, "Oh my God." The worst one was where he was working on her half-sister, Rhea, wearing scrubs, and she'd recorded even that. She didn't even bother to blur out the kid's face while she was lying on the dental chair. I showed the video to my husband, and he was horrified. He said it made him so uncomfortable and violated knowing that someone had been secretly recording him. He was angry that she'd record him working on a patient. He texted her asking to take down the video and delete every video she has of him. First, she feigned ignorance. Then she said that she meant no harm and that it was all for online engagement, since, I quote, "TikToks with hot guys go viral very fast," and that she'd gain a lot of followers after posting that. This was all so weird, but my husband and I got our families and friends to report the video, and thankfully it's being taken down now. This pissed off June, and she sent me a long-ass text saying how I was jealous of her online success and that I couldn't stand seeing her succeed, blah, 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 blah. I replied saying, "You're delusional and unhinged. You're not successful and you'll never be. Stay away from us, you creepy weirdo." Now she's all weepy and depressed and has been telling our common friends how mean I was to her. She's also been posting about mental health on her socials and about how mean some women are with their words, lol. Am I the asshole? And now let's get into some of the top comments. Someone says, "Not the asshole. You and your husband had set clear boundaries and she violated those boundaries. This shows that she does not respect y'all at all. I recommend cutting her off entirely, as anyone who disturbs your peace is not worth your time." And the OP responds and says, "Yes, we are cutting her off entirely. I don't know if her boyfriend is aware of this or not, but I guess he'll have to be collateral damage because I don't want her to weasel her way back into our lives." Another commenter says, "Not the asshole. People who think online engagement is more important than basic human decency are sadly not at all uncommon. And they are, as you say, delusional and unhinged. Their success is not real, and except in a very few cases, it never will be." And the OP responds saying, "It's psychotic, honestly. My husband is so freaked out about this. I feel so bad for him." Another commenter says, "He might need to drop the half-sister as a patient and or tell the parents that she, June, is not allowed to accompany her anymore. I agree that is a creepy weirdo. If she can't get followers or likes without lying and getting consent for people to be recorded, then she needs to find a new career." And the OP responds saying, "Yes, he's in the process of informing her parents. I don't think he's going to drop her as a patient as her treatment is almost done and it's going to be hassle for her to find a new orthodontist." And then another commenter says, "He needs to ban her sister, your former friend, from the room while he is treating the patient. He needs to have a female staff member assist him and act as a chaperone should your friend try to make baseless accusations." And the OP responds to this and says, "There's a rule in his practice that a female dental assistant has to be present whenever they, the male doctors, are working on female patients, as most of the patients are teens, and they might be more comfortable with a woman around." Even in the video she posted, there is a woman assisting my husband. He's reached out to the kids' parents. They're being given two choices. Either they chaperone their daughter or they need to find a different orthodontist. I really hope it doesn't come to baseless accusations though. And then the OP updates in the same post 2 days later, which reads as follows. "I don't want to make another post for the same thing, and I doubt I'm going to be updating again. Number 1, my husband's practice reached out to Rhea's parents and informed them about the situation via an email, as they wanted everything documented. Like I mentioned in the comments, the parents have responded. They are shocked and very, very apologetic. They have agreed to chaperone Rhea on her appointments instead of June. They wanted to meet my husband personally to apologize, but he informed them that that won't be necessary. Number 2, June's TikTok video is still in the process of being taken down. No new updates on that. I guess she contested the reports or something. I'm not entirely sure. My husband and I have blocked her. My brother is keeping an eye on her account though, just in case she posts something else about us. We'll see what to do, /if or when it happens. We're going to be consulting a lawyer if she bothers us again in the future. Number 3, my husband is kind of shaken up /upset /annoyed about this whole thing. He's taken some days off from work, and so have I. We'll plan a trip somewhere maybe, to take his mind off of these things. Right now, I need to be there for him. I won't be posting anything for now. And number 4, we haven't contacted her boyfriend yet. My husband is not in the right headspace right now, and I feel it'll be better if we focus on ourselves for the time being. We don't want the added headache of how the boyfriend will react /if he's in on this or whatever. We'll inform him after some time. I know this is selfish, but I think it's for the best. Thank you all for the responses. And then the OP gives us an update 1 month later, which reads as follows. I genuinely hoped I wouldn't be updating the story again, but life had other plans. We thought the drama was done, but nope. We filled June's boyfriend in on everything, and he was shocked, hurt, and confused. Turns out, June managed his social media, and he had no clue what she was posting. He thanked us, and we thought that was it. But then he asked to meet up, saying he needed to discuss something. To be honest, we were extremely hesitant to meet with him. We were so done with the drama and didn't want to get sucked back in, but he seemed genuinely concerned and willing to listen, so we agreed. At the meeting, he revealed he'd confronted June. She broke down, professed her love, and claimed her obsession with my husband was for social media clout. Apparently, his total package made for great content. When he asked to see her phone, she refused. So he checked her laptop and found hundreds of sneaky photos and videos of my husband. And for laughs, she had pictures of me looking my absolute worst. Mouth open while eating, weird faces, the works. I think I'm pretty good looking, but these photos were the opposite. It's like she wanted to prove a point about my husband's ugly wife. June's boyfriend dumped her, but honestly, we're even more freaked out now. The scale of her obsession is terrifying. Hundreds of photos and videos, that's not just a crush, that's fixation. The thought of her escalating to something more is keeping us up at night. As a small consolation, June's boyfriend made her delete the videos from her social media and laptop, but God knows how many more copies she has. Despite June not reaching out after all this went down, we are still on high alert. Her radio silence is kinda unnerving, and we are bracing ourselves for whatever might come next. Hopefully, it is in fact just for social media clout, not some weird baby reindeer type obsession with my husband. It's kinda unsettling how she was friends with me for over 2 years. We hung out often. We've gone on weekend trips with her and her boyfriend. We have so many mutual friends, and yet no one knew she's doing this behind our backs. Either I'm bad at reading people, or she's very good at being sneaky and deceptive. I'm also mentally kicking myself for not realizing that someone was taking pictures of me. I feel my husband and I both need to be less dumb and more aware of our surroundings, LOL. On a brighter note, Rhea's parents are super thankful to my husband for still treating Rhea after everything. That's it for now. Hopefully, this really is the end. And now let's get into some of the top comments on this post. Someone says, just be careful, OP. Jane sounds unhinged. And the OP responds saying, we are. It's kind of scary though, because she knows where we live / where we usually hang out / where I work and where my husband works. Another commenter says, man, this is some serious soap opera level drama that you said, though better to stay aware. No one likes being caught off guard. Hopefully it ends soon and you can move on. At least the parenting situation seems good. And the OP responds and says, Rhea's parents are wonderful. They were the ones who used to initially accompany Rhea to her appointments. They said June told them that she wants to spend more time with Rhea and she's otherwise busy, so she could be the one chaperoning her. They had agreed because Rhea was excited about spending time with her sister. It's really shitty that June was using Rhea as a ruse to get near my husband, not gonna lie. And then another commenter says, wow, just wow. I would take all the evidence and a statement from the ex to a lawyer and get some type of restraining order required her to stay away and remove all social media of you two. She seems unhinged and needs to stay away. This makes me think of a stalker movie, and you guys need to change stuff before the movie has a bad ending. And the OP replies to this and says, "We're going to be talking to a lawyer to see what options we have. Our apartment has a 24-hour security, so I doubt she can do anything there. I'm more worried about our workplaces, to be honest." And then the OP posts another update a while later, and let's get into that. I really didn't want to update this situation, but things have taken a seriously dark turn. When I posted about June's thing for my husband a month ago, I thought it was just some weird crush. Now, it's flat out terrifying. The day after my last post, my husband got a super creepy message from a random number. "You have it all wrong. Please meet me. I'll make you understand." We freaked out. Lawyers and cops are on it, trying to get a restraining order. Both our workplaces have ramped up security, and we've warned friends and family to keep an eye out. This whole thing is destroying my husband's mental health. He's anxious 24/7, wondering if he's being followed. He stopped going to work because the feeling of being watched is overwhelming. We're trying to prioritize his safety, and honestly, it's breaking my heart. The other night, he broke down in tears. I've never seen him cry before. It was shattering. He's been talking to a therapist online, trying to cope with the stress and the anxiety. But even that's not easing his mind. He's consumed by fear for my safety, constantly worrying that June will harm me to get to him. We're covering our bases, security cams, dash cams, the whole works. And I've scoured our home twice for any hidden devices. Thank God, all clear. If things get worse, we're prepared to up and move. Honestly, it's better to have a life in a different state than be dead here. It's heartbreaking to think about leaving our friends, family, and everything behind, but we'll do what it takes to stay safe. Some of the advice on here was really helpful, and I've done most of what was suggested. If someone, anyone, has any more insights, please share. I'm desperate at this point, to be honest. And then we don't get an update for a few weeks, worrying a lot of commenters, understandably so, but finally, 3 weeks later, we get an update, with the OP saying as follows. I've been sharing some updates on a pretty unsettling situation we've been dealing with. For those who haven't seen my previous posts, the short version is that my husband and I had a friend, June, who started acting super obsessively toward my husband. She secretly recorded him, posted weird videos of him online, and we eventually had to cut ties with her. So after not hearing from June for 3 weeks, things took a really creepy turn on Friday. We hadn't heard a word from her, so we both got a little more relaxed about the whole situation. We went back to work and everything seemed fine. But turns out, we were wrong. My husband went to the store after work to grab some groceries. He had no idea June was following him, but when he got to the parking lot, there she was. As soon as he saw her, he tried to get to his car as quickly as possible, but she was already closer and blocked the way to the door. He tried to walk away, but she stepped in front of him, begging him to talk to her. She kept saying it was just a harmless crush and that she'd leave us alone if he'd just listen. She even said, "Please talk to me." He didn't respond and kept trying to walk away, but she wouldn't let him. She begged again and reached into her coat pocket. My husband heard a metallic sound and instantly thought she might be pulling out a weapon. In a split second, he grabbed her hand to stop her and pushed her away with force. She lost her balance and fell down, but he didn't stick around. He quickly jumped in his car and sped off as fast as he could. Thankfully, she didn't follow him. After getting away, my husband immediately contacted the police. They managed to get security footage from the parking lot, and it shows two people, a man and a woman, running towards the car. After a short while, the man pushes the woman down and quickly gets in the car. speeding off. The footage wasn't super clear, but it shows the general sequence of events. Of course, it's still not totally clear what she was planning or what she had on her, but the situation was extremely tense. We've been trying to get a restraining order against her, and hopefully this time we'll get it. But we're not entirely sure how things will unfold now. We're also moving to my parents' home country for a while just to feel safer and take a step back from everything. It's going to be tough rebuilding our lives from scratch, but I guess that's what's in our destiny. So yeah, that's where we're at. This whole situation is terrifying, and we're just trying to keep our heads straight and stay safe. I'll keep you all posted if anything else happens, but for now, we're just trying to lay low and handle this as best as we can. And now let's get into some of the top comments. Someone says, madness needs to be confined for everyone's safety. This woman should be in an inpatient program until she sorts it out, if ever. And the OP replies and says, sadly, they only take action once someone is seriously hurt or dead. Another commenter says, make sure you have her stalking and weird behavior compiled and documented. There is video evidence, but without sound and or context. If she chose to take revenge and say your husband assaulted her for no reason, it could go either way. Best of luck to you guys though. I'm so sorry. And the OP replies saying everything is documented. There's an official police complaint, but let's see what happens though. Another user comments, I hope you and your husband can retake your old life back without her near any of you. Maybe for some time, he shouldn't be alone outside just to have backup and a witness available. And the OP responds saying, yeah, we are practically gonna be under house arrest now until we move. And then another user says, have you spoken to her family to get her to stop or have her committed? Someone in her life needs to help. And the OP says, we have. They have tried. Nothing happened. And then we don't get an update for about a year. And obviously people were very concerned, but luckily the OP made an update on their profile and let's get into it. Previous posts are on my account. It's been a while since I posted. A lot has happened since then, and honestly, I don't even know how to make sense of it anymore. For context, my 28 female friend June became obsessed with my husband 32 male. Secretly filmed him at home and work and posted a viral TikTok. She had hundreds of photos and videos of him. It escalated with stalking, creepy messages, and a confrontation in a parking lot where my husband thought she was pulling a weapon. We involved the police, tried to get a restraining order, increased security, and nearly relocated. This was about 9 months back. We didn't end up relocating. Things eventually calmed down. June's parents actually came over and apologized. They told us she checked herself into a mental rehab facility. She's been diagnosed with some stuff. I'm not going to get into the details, but apparently she's doing better now. She even messaged us months later and apologized. It seemed genuine. We accepted it, but we've kept no contact, and she has respected that. She's still in therapy and being monitored, from what I've heard. But yeah, that's not the messed up part. My husband and I are getting a divorce. After everything we went through, I really thought it would bring us closer. I stood by him when he was falling apart. I handled everything. I looked after him. I took care of things. I stayed calm when he couldn't. I thought we were solid. 2 months ago, he told me he wanted a divorce. Just like that. No fight, no lead up. I asked why, and he just shrugged and said he needed to move on. I asked if something had happened or if I had done something wrong, and he just stared at me like I was speaking in another language, like he wasn't even interested in explaining. Looking back, he started changing around 5 or 6 months ago, like he couldn't be bothered to engage with me anymore. It wasn't sudden exactly, but it was steady. he stopped checking in, stopped talking unless it was about day-to-day stuff, and I kept thinking maybe it was the aftershock of everything we'd been through. That maybe he was just processing everything in his own way. But now I don't know. I honestly don't know what I was looking at. He went from crying and breaking down on my arms last year to being a dickhead a few months later. And I still don't understand what changed. And yeah, I've thought about whether there's someone else. There was this one time I saw him staring at the WhatsApp profile picture of one of the junior dentists at its clinic. He didn't know I was behind him. I asked what he was looking at, and he said her dog. She's absolutely gorgeous, super confident, bubbly, the kind of person who lights up a room, and they had this natural chemistry. I've seen it with my own eyes. Nothing I could really call out. Nothing inappropriate, but it was there. I didn't think much of it at the time. I trusted him a lot. Maybe I was stupid enough to believe him. He was actually looking at the dog and not the young, beautiful woman in the photo. Maybe stupid enough to think that my husband was different from the other men who cheated on their wives. Maybe it's a coincidence that she broke up with her longtime boyfriend at the same time. Or maybe it's nothing. Maybe I just want there to be a reason, because honestly, the way he flipped on me out of nowhere doesn't make sense. I still don't get it. I feel like I'm missing something. He's already filed and moved out. We barely speak. He's like a stranger now. And I'm just trying to keep it together. I've been drinking more than I should. I know it's not the answer, but it's what I've been doing to get through these days. I'll sort myself out eventually, but I just don't know when. That's where I'm at. I don't know if I'll update again. Thanks to the people who've been following this whole thing. And man, that really is just such a gut-wrenching ending. I really thought this series of threads was looking up after all. I thought that June had gotten into the mental rehab clinic and got better. And she left him alone, and the OP and her husband were able to rekindle and, get back to their normal life. But her husband ended up, leaving her. And now the OP is left alone with, which seems like no one. And truly just such a sad, sad thread. I really was hoping that this would work out in the end because, the OP was just being terrorized, and the OP and her husband were being terrorized for months on end by this crazy woman obsessing over her husband. And like the OP said, the OP supported her husband through thick and thin, and what she got at the end was a divorce, which came out of nowhere. And that is the last update the OP has ever posted. So I just hope that the OP is doing better now and has been able to, begin to process this. And also at the end, the OP said she's been drinking more than she should. So I really, really hope that didn't get out of control. And I really hope that the OP was able to, somehow bounce back from this, hang out with family, friends, and hopefully start to begin to process all of this, because all of this is just, horrible, horrible stuff. But like I said, I just wish the best for the OP. A planned pregnancy turned my husband into a monster. Originally posted to r/true off my chest, and the post reads as follows. It feels like a cruel, cruel joke. Years before I met my husband, I was in such a toxic, abusive relationship that I almost died. I spent years in therapy, bettering myself, figuring out why I accepted that type of love. I stayed single for years, and once I started dating, I made sure to keep an eye out on all red flags. Heck, I even took things slowly when there was nothing but green flags. Thanks to my ex, I was familiar with love bombing. I met my husband at a work event, and things just fell into place. I opened up and explained my past trauma and let him know that if we were going to date, that it would require a slow pace and patience. I won't say that he was perfect, but he was always kind, compassionate, and cared. We dated for about 5 years, engaged for 1, and married for a little over 3 years now. We recently bought our second home together. We both got promotions at work, so we sat down and talked about kids. He wanted a big family, and I only wanted 1 or 2. We agreed on 2 and, well, started trying. It didn't take long, and here I am 6 months pregnant, still working, have swollen ankles and a back that won't stop aching. Other than that, I've been very happy and have what I thought was a supportive husband. 3 weeks ago, I found out that he was having an emotional affair, and honestly, probably a physical one. When confronted with the evidence, he admitted to not being attracted to me while pregnant. I'm wrecked. I haven't gained unnecessary weight. I still take care of myself, even with the morning sickness that hasn't gone away. He's not sorry about it, but you told me that I was being overdramatic when I cried. He is staying with his family until he can find a home to rent. He doesn't want to get a divorce. He's saying after the pregnancy is over, we can go to therapy and fix things. I don't want to. I cannot physically look this man in the eye anymore without feeling disgust. I have a text from him saying that he's my only option because no man wants to date a single mom. I'll be talking to a lawyer and figuring out how to divorce him. I just wanted to vent into the void today. For now, I'm going to DoorDash some nuggets and a Frosty from Wendy's and be okay if I gain 5 pounds from it. Thanks for listening. Well, reading, I suppose. And now let's get into some of the top comments. The OP responds to a now deleted comment saying, I don't think you deserved the amount of dislikes for asking a question. Maybe it was in the way you worded it. Who really knows? Emotional was how I decided to word it because what else do I call just talking? He was telling a very young, naive woman how hot she was, how he couldn't wait to touch her body, telling her he loved her, but then claimed they never met. He would complain to her that I wasn't fun anymore. There were obviously pictures sent back and forth due to comments, but the pictures were deleted. I asked him about all his overtime at work, and he couldn't give straight answers, hence the physical aspect of things. This man went from working maybe 40 hours a week to 60, and I may be dealing with pregnancy, but I'm not stupid. You didn't ask this, but I'm putting it here because people have brought it up and they may read this comment. I would never expect my husband, or whatever you want to call him, to find my changing body attractive. Pregnancy is weird, I think it's beautiful, but he or others don't have to. What I did expect was him to not call me hideous to another woman, or to cheat, especially while I'm growing a life we both wanted. Another commenter says, why do you have to move? And the OP responds saying, we bought our home together, and instead of fighting it out, we'll be selling and splitting assets. Or at least I hope that's how it'll be. Plus, I just don't want it to be here in this house. It's too big for just a baby and I, plus the dog. He just has to have that's currently curled up in bed with me. Another person says, clarification, have you moved out yet? And the OP says, oh, I'm sorry, I'm still in the shared home. He moved out to stay with his family until he finds another place. And the OP makes an update to the post 2 days later, which reads as follows. I'm making an edit because I'm not sure this sub will let me do an update post. I was told I'm not allowed to change the locks due to it being his home as well, and he came over last night knowing there wasn't crap I could do to prevent it. Thankfully, he only grabbed some personal belongings, threatened to take the dogs, he did not, and let me know he emptied our shared bank accounts. Part of me rolled my eyes and figured he wasn't dumb enough to do that. And the other part made me make a mental note to check it once he left. Sure enough, our account has maybe $5 in it. He did a transfer, which I'll be calling the bank about and speaking to an attorney this afternoon. Thankfully, my dad taught me you don't fully mix finances, so my savings wasn't capable of being touched. And while it's not a lot, it's enough to pay for the fees over the next few weeks. I don't have any family left, so I think he's doing a power play to make me feel like I'm alone and I need him, when in all reality, it's lit a fire under my ass that I don't want or need such a garbage person in my life. Thank you to everyone that's reached out with comments, kind messages, and helpful advice. And then the OP makes another update 3 days later, reading as follows. I wanted to do an update with how many people took the time to send messages, leave comments, and share their own personal stories, which especially helped make me not feel so alone. As mentioned in an edited post, I was not allowed to change the locks on our house due to both our names being on it. I never feared for my safety. It was more so an annoyance. He showed up to grab some personal belongings, and I thought that would be the most that would happen. It was like he was trying to get a reaction from me. He told me he transferred funds and emptied our bank account. I didn't believe him until I saw it myself. That was both of our money, so that's being dealt with currently. He showed up the day before yesterday completely drunk, begging to talk, increasing in anger when I would just ignore him and walk away. It kept increasing, so I went to grab my bag and walk down the road to a neighbor's home so I wasn't alone. He grabbed my arm to stop me, and when I yanked it away, he slapped me. Almost a backhanded open slap. The cops were called. I didn't have a mark on my face, so it was my word versus his. They escorted him off the property, and I'm only now assuming he's back with his parents now. He did throw a fit about the dogs and does have proof of ownership, so I'm guessing he'll be able to take them. Went to leave to go for a drive to clear my head after everything and realized 3 of my 4 tires were flat. I know it was him, but I don't have proof. Insurance won't cover it, so I'm going to a tire shop on Friday morning. Just another drop in the bucket. As for the attorney, I've had my consultant and I'm waiting for my check to come in for my actual appointment and getting the ball moving on this. There's not any family left and a few close friends are kept in the loop, but I don't want to burden them or treat them like unpaid therapists, so I think that's why I came back to Reddit. Something therapeutic about just typing it all out into the void. The baby/pregnancy is okay. I've actually lost weight, and the doctor has told me to avoid stressful situations and to take things easy. I'll be calling to see if I can change the locks on my home now, and if not, I'm going to start looking for places. And oh my god, this escalated so quickly. I mean, obviously, the previous situation was already so bad. I mean, him cheating on her, basically, and just leaving uninterrupted and also taking all of their shared funds. But now he shows up completely drunk and slaps her backhanded. I mean, that is fucking disgusting and horrific. And also, not to mention, allegedly pops and flattens 3 of the OP's tires. I mean, and also takes the dogs. This escalated so quickly, and this is just so horrible. But let's get into some of the top comments. One commenter says, it's okay to burden one of your friends. Otherwise, you could stay in a woman's shelter for safety. And the OP responds saying, staying with friends is impossible. A lot are out of state, and lawyer mentioned abandonment of assets. Plus my job and doctor are here. I do have someone coming out and putting a few cameras up, and thankfully the neighborhood is aware and keeping an eye out. This is all short term, of course, and the goal is to leave. There's just a ton of reasons why that can't be right this moment. And then the OP gives us an update 4 days later, which reads as follows, and this update is nothing short of horrifying. The update reads, he broke in late last night. I was able to get contact with the police before I confronted him, but due to location, I knew it would be a bit. I tried walking by him to leave the house, but every time I would, he'd shove me, once hard enough to make me stumble and fall backwards. The eerie part is, he never once yelled. threw things. One of the items hit me, causing an emergency room visit requiring stitches. Said the most vile things. He hated me. I should commit S-word. How useless I was, etc. Yet never once raised his voice. I'm not saying that in a good way. I wish he would have yelled. It was a fight or flight instinct, and I found out mine was to freeze. I hate that for myself. He was arrested and his mother already bailed him out. I'm staying at a hotel thanks to a work advance and looking into apartments. I won't be stepping a foot into that home we shared until my best friend is here, and even then, it'll be with police being with us. Nobody can figure out what made him change almost overnight. Only thing I'm guessing is a psychotic break, but I'm not a therapist or a doctor. Besides some ugly bruises and some stitches myself, and the baby are fine. My lawyer feels like this is enough to get a protection order for myself and will include the pregnancy/baby. Next time I see him, we'll be at court. Sorry I'm rambling and maybe this doesn't make sense. For now, I'm safe. Can sleep good for the first time in weeks. I have the dogs. Nobody is aware of where I am besides one close person, and the police. Final update. I changed my locks. Figured if he'd get the law involved, I'd use pregnancy brain and being forgetful to give him a spare set. And now let's get into some of the top comments. Someone says, OMG, I've been following your posts and I'm just shocked as to what happened recently too. I'm so glad that you were safe and I hope you and the baby continue to be safe. One thing that popped up for me is please have a professional, perhaps police or someone who is tech savvy, do a complete search of your car to ensure that there is no GPS tracking system that your ex put on it or in it. He tampered with your car, slashing tires. Who knows what else he's done to your car? Considering how crazy and violent he has become, you need to do all you can to keep you and your baby safe from him. Also, if you can do a web search of women's organizations that serve DV victims, call a good one to ask if they have services or know of any organizations that actually help walk you through how to ensure your safety and lock it down. I'm glad you have finally been able to sleep. I really hope the bank situation clears up really quickly and that your money is returned to you soon. I'm glad that you have reported all that needs to be reported to the police, and I'm glad that you have a good lawyer. From what you've shared about your ex has done and said to you, he sounds like a sociopath with psychopathic tendencies. He finally dropped his mask. It's ugly and it's scary, but you are a protective mama bear, sending you so much love and protective energy. Another user says, I think you should move out of the area. He has risked the baby's life by attacking you, so it's not safe for him to be anywhere near the baby when it's born. Put the child in your surname, not his, or just have both surnames so he doesn't have any power over you. Once you're in your own place, consider buying all things to protect/defend your home and yourself, like CCTV, a baseball bat, sirens, etc. And definitely change your will ASAP. And another user says, the leading cause of death of pregnant women is their partners. Don't be a statistic and get the hell away from this monster. And then the OP posts an update 1 week later. And let's get into it. Police met me at my home to grab some personal belongings and pretty much anything and everything else I could grab. Thanks to a user who recommended me calling the non-emergency number, it was smooth sailing. He wasn't home. I didn't have the fear of him showing up, and both officers were very kind. What I walked into, on the other hand, was not very fun. This man looked like he went on a bender. Bleach on clothes, food everywhere, personal belongings just destroyed, especially the nursery. I was able to salvage a lot of the bigger items and packed what I could. They're now in storage until I move into my place. Took pictures, and as aggravating as it was, especially with the 1 step forward, 2 steps back, I'm hopeful that they'll just be another thing used against him to prevent custody. As far as him, he has no way of contacting other than attorney or email, and it's been quiet on both ends. His parents have not reached out. I don't even know what I'd say to them if they tried, so no loss there. His girlfriend, yes girlfriend, as I found out, has been trying to contact me via friends to let me know she's pregnant. I'm unsure if that's true or not, but that in the very least confirms the affair and how well he kept things hidden. I do want to clear the air. I made a post asking for helpful information on resources that could potentially help, and someone made a comment saying I was in it for a long con, and that's just untrue. I have not and will not accept any personal items/donations other than advice and maybe an internet hug. While I wish my story was made up, it is not. Maybe it's a venting board. Maybe it's just connecting with people that have been in the same situation, but it helps to keep me sane. Anyway, I'll leave it at that. Thank you all for listening and checking up on me. I'm safe. I'm good. Pregnancy is the only thing kicking my ass, and I'll make sure to make a few posts in the next few months letting y'all know she's here and that we have made it. Bye for now. And now let's get into some of the top comments on this post. Someone says, wow, you're doing so well for someone who found out that the person they loved was secretly a monster. I admire your coping skills and wish you peace in the near future. And the OP responds saying, oh, trust me, I'm having bad days with it, especially emotionally. I'm sure the hormones aren't helping. I've debated if I turned a blind eye and if there really weren't any red flags. I've had moments where I've missed him because it's not just a switch. We loved each other, or at least I loved him. This is a person I planned a future and had a past with. It's really just an emotional roller coaster, and that's okay. I don't think there's a right or wrong way to handle all of this, and I'm doing my best. And now let's get into the OP's next update, which was posted 1 week later, which reads as follows. I've read every single message in the majority of the comments. Thank you for sharing your experiences, your advice, and your love. More than a few have offered baby items, groceries, and gift cards. I cannot, in goodwill, accept any of those, but if you have items laying around, please consider donating them to a charity that helps homeless parents. One thing that stuck out is someone asked how I could feel sorry for him. Well, I guess I'm an empathetic person, to the point where it could be a flaw. I wish if he was so unhappy, he would have just told me. We could have fixed it before it became violent. And if it wasn't fixable, so we could both have amazing parents. His girlfriend that reached out wrote an email in which was forwarded to me. She's saying she's pregnant, and for her sake, I hope she's not. She's accusing me of ruining a good man's reputation. She called the injuries fake and how they want a paternity test. My personal favorite was if my baby is actually his, she hopes her baby can grow up with her and have a sister. Little does she know I will go to hell and back to make sure that man does not know anything about my daughter. As for him, I've seen him once while leaving the grocery store. Outside me was calm, cool, and collected. Acted like he was a stranger I wouldn't give a second look at. On the inside, I said, oh shit, about 500 times and cried in the car. Money situation is fixed. Work bonus and promotion. I've bought a new and better living room suite and having a painting party at the end of the month. You're all invited, by the way. Still good, still safe. Slowly learning to love my new normal. If you're in a similar situation or in an abusive relationship, man or woman, reach out. You're not alone. You don't need to be brave. I'm certainly not. You just need that I can't do this anymore to light that fire. And then the OP posts an update 6 months later, which reads as follows. Hi, it's been a while since I've posted. I mean, last time I posted, I had swollen ankles, waddled, thought about every little cramp was a contraction, and I felt like life was falling apart. I want to thank everyone who reached out even months after the fact just to check in on a stranger. My daughter is here. For privacy, I'm going to leave out her DOB, but she was 6 pounds, 2 ounces, and the most beautiful head of hair I've seen. She's now got the style of Danny DeVito. My original posts are still up in case anyone is looking at this with puzzlement. But to say things have been rough would be an understatement. He showed up to the hospital. Thankfully, everyone was aware and the hospital staff handled it properly and perfectly, and I was able to focus on labor and delivery. Unfortunately, the stress of that alone took an already hectic moment in time and amped it up, but things could have been so much worse, and I'm highly thankful they were not. Right now, I've got about 10 different CPS calls. They've came to my house on 4 occasions. His family and him have filed for an emergency custody hearing, and due to leaving the state with my daughter, that did give him a foot in the door. It seems the protective order isn't really helping in that matter. I am still on maternity leave, so thankfully my focus has fully been on my daughter and collecting all the evidence to make sure he doesn't get any custody other than possibly supervised visits for an hour. My main concern is, if he doesn't get any custody, that his parents may do the grandparent route. I wish it was an update to say I'm kicking motherhood's ass and taking names, but most of the time I feel like a burnt out blob. I am in therapy, and the doctors are keeping an eye on postpartum depression. Yet my doctor thinks a giant hemorrhoid, X, is the cause instead. I don't have an update on the girlfriend of his. Have kept the dogs, I think. They love the little one just as much as I do. I am excited and anxious to see where the next chapter of life will take me. And now let's get into some of the top comments. Someone says, how did he find out you were in labor so he could show up at the hospital? Do you have a mole feeding him info? And the OP responds saying, I'm assuming so, yes. Most likely a coworker, or at least that is my best guess. Another user says, why they have a claim to emergency custody? I think they probably tried to file for emergency custody, claiming that she was kidnapping the baby by moving out of state. And the OP responds saying exactly what happened. They said kidnapping/fleeing the state. From what I understand from my lawyer, that won't hold, but I'm required to do a paternity test since he's not on her birth certificate. And that is the last update we have ever received from the OP, so I really hope the OP is doing better now. This was a horrific nightmare scenario, and her husband turned from what looked like a loving and nice guy to nothing short of a monster. Truly, truly so heartbreaking, and I hope that the OP and her daughter are doing much, much better now. Was I drugged by him? So I'm going to try and keep this very short and not so sweet. Me, 31, and the guy I'm dating who is 35 have been going steady for about 3 months now. He hasn't asked me to be his girlfriend yet, but it was definitely headed that way, and I was excited about the prospect of it. Until today. Now, I'm not so sure. I wanted to go out and hang out with friends and drink. It was a weekend, and I usually don't feel like it, but I really was in the mood to let loose and have fun with my girlfriends. So the plan was to go out with friends at the bars and head home later that day and have the guy I'm dating come over and spend the night at my place. That was the plan the whole day, and he knew it. He doesn't really like to go out. He's more of an introvert, and it was a girls' night, so I didn't invite him. As I'm getting ready, though, he tells me he's outside. He surprises me with flowers and a bottle of wine. I was stunned that he was here because he knew I was about to go out. Obviously, I was super appreciative and thought it was so romantic he brought me flowers and my favorite wine. But I was also really confused. Like, I was supposed to be leaving and out the door in 20 minutes. I invite him in and ask him why he's here. And he basically just said he wanted to convince me to stay in with him and not go out. I laughed and politely said no. I haven't gone out and seen my girlfriends in months, and they were all literally waiting for me. We started making it out for a little bit on the couch, and I was close to having intimacy with him. He was very persuasive, but I decided to just wait and told him to come back over tonight after I got home. He seemed okay with it. A little disappointed, but he wasn't angry or anything. He was complaining about how I was giving him blue balls, like I had planned the whole thing. Anyways, after a short conversation, he agrees he'll come back over tonight, and he goes, "Just have a glass of wine with me before you go out." I didn't really feel like it, but to make him somewhat happy, I agreed and ran over and got 2 glasses. After I gave him the 2 glasses, he poured the wine, and I left to my bathroom to go fix my hair and makeup because he ruined it. And I was back within 2 minutes. We sat and drank wine and chatted for about 15 minutes. I was annoyed because my friends were texting me and I felt all flustered, and he kept telling me to calm down. But I told him I couldn't because I hated making people wait. Anyways, this was the last thing I said before things got a little blurry. I started really feeling tired all of a sudden, and my eyes were getting really heavy. I honestly just thought it might have been the wine. Red wine always makes me sleepy. He tells me I look really tired, and I go, "Yeah, I feel so exhausted." He goes, "Aw, poor baby," and picks me up. I tell him to put me down. At this point, I'm laughing and delirious. I didn't really think anything of it at the time. He carries me to my bedroom, and we cuddle for what felt like forever. He was whispering things in my ear. I don't remember exactly what. And then he goes, "Do you want me to text your friends you can't make it?" And I go, "No, I'll do it." At that point, I had given up on going out. I was so tired and my limbs felt really heavy. He strokes my hair, and I'm guessing I fell asleep after that. I wake up the next morning and he's still there, and we're cuddling, and it never really occurred to me until he left how weird that all was. I had to ask him if we had intimacy last night because I literally remembered nothing up to the point I texted my friends I can't make it. Wine makes me sleepy, but I only had 1 glass, and it didn't really seem like the effects of wine. I have no clue if he did drug me or not. I've been up all night wondering, and I'm scared to even ask him or accuse him because what if he didn't? It's a huge accusation. I just can't think of any other reason why I felt so strange or why a chunk of time was missing from my night. I genuinely don't know what to do. And now let's get into some of the top comments. Someone says, "No chance 1 glass of wine is going to make you black out." Someone replies to that saying, "Go to a pharmacy and buy a drug test. They have 12 panel tests now that test for a wide variety of drugs. Or go to a hospital, have them test you, and then have them call the police." Another commenter says, "It does sound like you were drugged, but the problem started before that. Him showing up like that to persuade you to cancel your plans that he knew about is the first red flag, and a big one at that. With how hard he tried to stop you from going out with your girlfriends, personally, that would be a deal breaker for me if my future girlfriend did something similar, even without trying to drug me." And then someone replied to that saying, "Yes, this very unhealthy behavior. Flowers and wine are a sweet gesture under certain circumstances, but 20 minutes before you're going out on a night where he knew for sure your plans is manipulation. Then throwing in repeatedly asking you to blow off your plans while there, and then trying to guilt you with the whole blue balls thing. By the way, a hangnail hurts more than hypertension. Sketchy dudes just use it as a justification to pressure people into intimacy because they are lame. At best, he is insecure and jealous. But if he drugged you, that ramps him up to stalker/abuser/psycho territory." And the OP actually replies to this and says, "Yeah, it was bizarre. I thought it was romantic, but the way he was acting was bordering on creepy. I don't know how to feel." And then the OP gave us an update about 1 day later, which reads as follows. "I have an update for everyone. Please upvote this so people can see. I told one of my friends what happened and why I couldn't come out, and she immediately came over and we went to the doctor together. They did a tox report and said they found nothing in my system. I explained to him how I was feeling in the blackout and the heavy limbs, and he said that it was very possible I was drugged. He said that the drug leaves your system after only 6 to 8 hours in the blood and 12 in the urine. By the time I went to the hospital, it had already been well over 14 hours. He gave me some numbers to call if I wanted to press charges and gave me a lot of good advice. I texted the guy and told him I went to the doctor today. He seemed very confused and not concerned at all. He kept asking, why did I go see a doctor? I kept telling him I didn't feel normal last night. He just kept asking me why. And he's called me at least 10 times since and I haven't answered. I texted him and told him to not contact me anymore. Obviously, there's no proof he drugged me, but all signs are pointing to yes. For everyone saying test the bottle, he drank the wine too. So if he did drug me, he drugged my glass, not the whole bottle. I washed the glasses the next morning without even thinking about it. I'm staying at a girlfriend's house tonight, but I'm afraid he's going to drop by my house unexpectedly. He's called and texted me dozens of times today. We are trying to figure out the next steps of what I'm going to do. Today has been a long and emotional day. And then people reply to that saying, I'm so glad you took the proper precautions, but stay vigilant until you find out the truth. Otherwise, I'd steer clear of him. He could be texting you so much from a guilty conscience he knows you're onto him. It'd be a shame if you were wrong, but you cannot take that chance with your safety. Another person says, to be honest, I had red flags going off in my mind before I even got to the part about drinking the wine. The fact that he wasn't even concerned about your state tells me all I need to know. A normal person would have been concerned for your safety if that happened. He wasn't concerned because he knew why you were acting like that. Get a restraining order and a weapon. And that is the last update we've received from the OP, so we don't know if she ended up pressing charges or figuring out if he did actually drug her, but what do you guys think? Do you think that the OP's ex-boyfriend drugged her and did God knows what? Or she just blacked out from one glass of wine? I think I'm leaning towards him drugging her because every single action he did throughout that entire night was beyond suspicious and creepy. My husband had an affair with my little sister. Originally posted to r/off my chest, and the post reads as follows. My life will never be the same after this. We've been married for 2 weeks. My 27-year-old husband has been sleeping with my little sister behind my back. She's a minor. Legal age of consent, but she's still a baby to me. We just found out she's 1 month pregnant, but she refused to say who the father is. Yesterday, my parents asked me to come over. Apparently, they installed a monitoring app on her phone, and that's how they found out he's the father. My sister is saying she is sorry over and over and over again. My husband also apologized, saying he made a mistake and wants us to go to counseling and stay married. I didn't say much. I told him I'm filing for divorce. I'm not changing my mind. I know for sure I will never speak to him again after everything's over. As for my sister, I don't know. I honestly don't know. And now let's get into some of the top comments. Someone says, check whether you can file for annulment rather than divorce. He married you under false pretenses while fathering a child with another woman. The dates will support the annulment. Also, although you won't want to hear this, get an STI test as you don't know who else he's been cheating on you with. And it is obvious he wasn't using protection. Sending you a hug to help hold you together a little bit. Another commenter says, damn, What the hell? A minor and 28 is not normal at all. What are you going to do with your sister? And the OP responds saying, I don't know yet. On one hand, she knew she was doing something wrong, but on the other, she's just a kid. I don't know how to feel or what I should do. Another user says, your husband is a predator. Get an annulment as soon as you can. I'm sorry you have to go through this. Another user says, I'm so sorry, OP. How long has he known your sister? If they recently met, they are both disgusting. Full stop. If he met her when she was even younger, he probably manipulated her. The fact that she was still trying to protect him after she got pregnant says a lot. Regardless, he's a predator. I also have an older sister and could never imagine doing this to her unless I absolutely hated her. I can't understand why she would do that to you, SMH. And the OP responds saying, he's known her since we started dating, so about 2 years ago. So she was just really young. I'm sick to my stomach thinking about how long this may have been going on. And then the OP posts an update the next day saying, my husband was arrested this morning. Thank you to everyone who read my first post and offered support. It feels like I'm living a nightmare. A lot more has happened, so I wanted to post an update. The day I posted, they took my sister to the police. She admitted that the relationship with my husband began when she was mid-teenage years. She also said things became physical when she was legally able to drive. I can't mention the ages specifically, I'm sorry guys, but basically the legal age to drive in the US. They had exchanged inappropriate messages and images, and the content on her phone matched everything she told them. My soon-to-be ex knew she was pregnant. He was arrested at his job earlier today. Last night was the first time in a year that I went to bed and he wasn't there. It felt surreal. My dad, who is very religious, insists my sister keep the baby. My mom believes she should have the choice to end the pregnancy. I've already contacted a lawyer for the annulment and emphasized that I want no more contact with him. There's nothing left to salvage. Even though my sister has apologized several times, she still believes she's in love with him. My family is planning to start family counseling soon. It'll be focused on figuring out how to move forward and what kind of relationship, if any, I want to have with my sister. There are no clear answers right now. The support I've received from people here has helped me feel less alone. So thank you. And then one commenter asks how old the OP is, and the OP replies saying 24. Another commenter says, he's a monster. I'm glad he's facing consequences, but I'm heartbroken for all of you who were impacted by how vile he is. Another commenter says, wow, this is just awful. Praying for your family. I hope your ex gets a long time in prison and that you and your family are able within time to get through this. And this is the last update we've received from the OP, so we don't know what happened with the OP's husband sentencing, or whether or not her sister kept the baby, or what ended up happening with the family. So a lot of questions remain unanswered, but God, what a horrible and horrific situation. My 23 female sister, who is 27 female, has been dating a guy who's 27 male for about a year, and he makes the entire family uncomfortable. Heads up, this is going to be long. Okay, so let me start off by saying my older sister has never been very mature, but she's always been fun to be around, even if she hasn't been the best role model. Last February, she seemed to be really changing for the better. She started working out, seeing a therapist, broke up with her abusive boyfriend, and was all around starting to take better care of herself. We were thrilled. She and I have never been very close because we are polar opposites when it comes to personality. I'm outgoing/outspoken. She is painfully shy and insecure. But we finally began forming an adult relationship, and I was so happy to have the kind of older sister I could look up to. 2 months later, she meets this guy, Jerry, and things go downhill fast. She starts pulling away from the family, claiming she's a black sheep and we don't understand her like he does. She starts picking fights over the tiniest things, stops working out, stops seeing her therapist, and stops putting any effort into anything but him. One of the things that really set this all into motion, I think, was that my mom had booked a beach house vacation for everyone and asked for just family. My sister threw a huge fit, screaming and crying, asking why her older sister's husband of 7 years was allowed to go, but not her new boyfriend. My parents tried to be as understanding as possible and handled it as best as they could, but I think she got it into her head that they left him out on purpose. Keep in mind, my younger sister and I also had boyfriends who weren't allowed to come. Also, my parents had paid for the house and her plane ticket because she had told them she couldn't afford to come otherwise. In the past year, things have only gotten worse. There have been a couple of instances I'd like to highlight specifically. The first time we met him, we all went out for a trip to the lake. I tried paddleboarding for the first time, but ended up falling and injuring my head. I started crying, and he asked to see it. I showed him my hand, which was already swelling and bleeding, which he took into his and proceeded to smack it pretty forcefully. Then he and my sister started cackling, while I began to sob, and my dad took me to the ER. He did not apologize, even after finding out it had been severely sprained. When my mom and little sister stayed with them overnight, he walked into the guest room without knocking while my mom was changing and wearing just her underwear. She was startled and asked him to leave, but he said it wasn't a big deal because she was basically in a bathing suit. He then hugged her and left the room. While my sister, 20, went to stay with them, she witnessed him yelling inappropriate things at women jogging while they were driving to a restaurant. And when they returned to my older sister's apartment, Jerry tried to bully my younger sister into smoking weed with him. When my pregnant older sister met them at a Christmas party, he stood over her and wouldn't move until she got up to give him a hug. At the same party, he drank 6 to 8 beers in about 2 hours and then decided they needed to leave to drive back home. He was adamant that only he could drive them home, even with my mom and uncle encouraging my sister to drive instead. My dad wasn't there at the time. He met my best friend of 20 years for 30 minutes and then proceeded to speculate that he was on drugs and a junkie because he went to the bathroom twice between us going to the lunch and us leaving the restaurant. When my sister had her baby, he refused to sit to hold the child, insisting he was fine and accusing us of thinking he was too stupid not to drop him. I went to visit my sister, and before I left, he insisted on hugging me. I tried to be friendly and went in for a hug. He then proceeded to squeeze and shake me. I told him over and over again that he was making me uncomfortable, but he wouldn't put me down. He took a long, noisy whiff of my hair before I finally shoved myself away from him, and he started laughing at my obvious discomfort. I looked to my sister for support, and instead she told me that his hobby was to go up to strangers and sniff their hair and then challenge them if they acted uncomfortable. That is genuinely insane. He got into a huge row with my aunt about medicine and how bad they are and unnecessary. My sister just sat there and twiddled her thumbs. Keep in mind, my dad used to make medicine. When my sister came to visit us the one time this year, he called her in a panic about how his brother was dead from a construction accident. Then it turned into his brother's friend was dead and his brother was going to lose his legs. Then it was just his brother's legs were just broken. Then it was his brother was totally fine and was being discharged from the hospital. This all occurred in the span of 24 hours she was with us. There is so much more, but I could go on forever, and I don't really think it's necessary. He lies about everything, then changes his stories. Then when he's caught, he gets insanely defensive. My sister refuses to talk about it. Even when we've tried to approach her about these issues calmly and rationally, she instead sees the fault in us, claiming we are elitist and trying to take away her one true love. She has made it clear in the last month that if we do not accept him, we do not accept her, and that she is willing to cut all contact with us to preserve her relationship with him. At this point, I have lost all respect for my sister. She has always been immature, but in the past year, she has turned into a manipulative bully. My parents have tried talking to her. They exchanged emails because she refuses to talk on the phone, but she won't hear a single negative word about him. She keeps attacking my parents like it's their fault. She refuses to respond to their emails now, but continues to send hurtful, malicious emails to them. Is there any way to save this relationship without completely ostracizing her? And now let's get into some of the top comments. Someone says, yes, this guy sounds like a huge creep. It seems like you guys all live in the same area and see each other with some frequency, so going no contact may not be feasible. Go for as much reduced contact as possible. When you do have to hang out with them, physically distance yourself. Sit across the room, behind a table, etc. So he can't physically coerce you into hugs, slap your hand, smell your hair, etc. Hang out with them with a third party who will act as a buffer. A male buffer would probably be best, maybe your dad. I can't imagine he goes around smelling males. His behavior, especially how he behaves physically, strikes me as being very predatory. He's intentionally testing your comfort zone just to see your reaction. Don't give him the chance to test your comfort zone by physically not being near him. Unfortunately, it doesn't seem like there is much you can do for your sister. She seems like she's intentionally rebelling and will do what she wants. What you can do is help yourself by reducing contact with this creeper and physically distancing yourself when you do have to be in contact. And the OP responds to this and says, I think when a person's hobby is to make people uncomfortable, there's probably something wrong. I have definitely reduced contact, physically and emotionally, because I'm really tired of her trying to pick fights or complaining. I'm hoping that if we do see them, my dad will be able to be there to witness his bully-like behavior firsthand. Thank you. Another commenter says, your dad won't see it because he won't do it around your dad. And the OP responds and says, yeah, he won't do it in front of my dad because he is more comfortable bullying women. Another user says, he thinks he can get away with it because he has. If he sniffed a man's hair, he would probably get punched. Violence is my only suggestion if he touches you again. He sounds disgusting. And the OP responds and says, that's what we said. And my sister has gone back and forth in her defense of it. One moment saying he only does it to his friends, then saying it only happens to strangers. It's so frustrating because she doesn't see how abnormal it is to do it at all. And I personally just think it's insane that her sister is defending it because, like, how do you even go to defend that? How do you defend someone that walks up to strangers and sniffs their hair? And I'm laughing because it's just so ridiculous. Like, what would you even say to defend it? Like, it's his hobby? What does that even mean? That is just beyond ridiculous. This guy is a complete weirdo and just so gross and predatory. But another commenter says, it sounds like your sister is probably falling into another abusive relationship. You can't stop her if she doesn't want to hear it. What you can and should do is stop letting this guy push you all around. It sounds you all have let him get way too comfortable with too much inappropriate stuff. And the OP responds and says, we definitely let him get away with a lot because we were trying to not push my sister away. So much for that. And then we don't hear from the OP for a long time. But 2 months later, we get an update. And it reads as follows. Thanks to everyone who responded to the original post. Your advice was appreciated, and I really did try to follow it. Well, I wish I could say my sister has come around and everything is better. But in fact, everything is much worse. Since my last post 2 months ago, my sister has moved and won't tell us where, is refusing to talk to my parents, specifically my mom, and when we as sisters meet up to hang out, she does a complete 180 whenever any of us trouble with Jerry is brought up. My younger sisters and I have decided to cut contact with her because her behavior and anger directed towards our parents is unacceptable. It's also come out recently that she has said some pretty hurtful things about all of us, including that my older sister and her husband are only married because of their son, and that she thinks it would have been better if my parents had stopped having kids after her so they could have paid for her college and all of her needs. I don't really understand how you can wish people in your family had never been born. I would maybe understand if she was joking or said it once out of anger, but she said it multiple times and seemed serious every time. My oldest sister, who is 31 female, is keeping in contact with her for now. We think she's the only one allowed to see my sister because Jerry thinks that my oldest sister likes him. My oldest sister and her husband can't stand Jerry, but want to act as the bridge in case my sister ever comes to her senses. I don't know how much of my sister's behavior is influenced by Jerry, or if this is just her deciding to be cruel. But these past couple of months have been really hard. My parents tried to keep everything civil, but my sister seems to have this anger in her. She's taken to Facebook, pretty juvenile, I know, with declarations of being happy for the first time in her life and verbally attacking family and friends who post anything that doesn't agree with her opinions wholeheartedly. She's really isolating herself from my family and all but 2 of her friends. They approve of Jerry, so they are welcome in her life. Anyway, my mom is done with her behavior. My sister took a trip to Iceland, and when my mom asked her how it was, my sister went off about how she's still upset that the family hates Jerry and she doesn't want to associate with us if we can't accept everything about him. She wouldn't even listen when my mom asked her to explain his behavior. She was completely irrational and said some terrible things to intentionally hurt my mom's feelings. I think my dad is still hoping she'll come to her senses. He gets really defensive when any of us are bringing her up. He's always felt a special attachment to my sister because they're the only lefties in the family, and my sister has tried so hard to be like him. I understand that, but I think he's hoping for a day that will never come. Personally, I think my sister is comfortable in abusive relationships. She's always been a very manipulative person, and she's always wanted to be the black sheep of the family. Now, with Jerry, she has become more of an excuse than ever. I think she's too arrogant of a person to even realize how wrong she is about Jerry. If it seems like I have a lot of animosity towards my sister, it's because she's been intentionally cruel to my family and our family friends these past couple of months. She said a lot of hurtful things to the people who have been so good to her, including to a friend who is dealing with cancer and doesn't have time for her shit. And I think even if we are able to forgive her, we aren't going to forget. Meanwhile, Jerry hasn't tried to contact us and help clear up any misunderstandings. I'm sure he's just enjoying watching my sister implode. And now let's get into some of the top comments. Someone says, do you think Jerry introduced her to any drugs? And the OP responded and said, she does seem a little manic, but I'd hate to jump to that conclusion. Another person says, I know it's hard to watch your sister making bad choices, but she sounds very stubborn and maybe she will learn something out of it. It's hard, but if she wants to isolate herself to be with this guy, there is nothing you can do. The more you reject him, the more she will want him. And the OP responds and says, at this point, I'm not even feeding into it anymore. I blocked her on Facebook, and I don't respond when she texts me, because most of the time, she's just trying to start shit. I just can't stand that she's hurting the people who have been so supportive and kind to her, family or not. And another user says, thanks for coming back on this one. I was very sad to see how your sister's relationship with Jerry was impacting on you in your last post, and it doesn't sound like things were getting any better. My impression there and here was that if there will be a change, she'll have to find some kind of rock bottom. You have to remember that the parts of her that come out under Jerry's influence, the manipulation, the cruelty, the selfishness, are her. Yes, it's easy to blame all of this on Jerry, but the truth is, from what you've shared about her, he's her enabler as much as she's his. We all have the capacity to be bad people, although some of us have greater than capacity than others. She's an adult woman who has decided to let it all be about her and not even consider anyone else's feelings. It feels liberating until all of your relationships are burnt and you're too full of anger and resentment to form new ones. Giving up is hard, but healthy. And the OP responds and says, she was never really a great sister, and she definitely bullied me a lot when I was a kid. Not in the typical sibling fashion, but in a really cruel way. So I can honestly say I'm not super surprised at what she said. She's always known how to hurt people by touching on their biggest insecurities. I think you're right. It's so easy to blame Jerry for everything, but maybe some of it is her too. And we don't hear from the OP for a very, very, very long time, but we finally get an update 10 years later. Yes, 10 years later. The original thread I was just reading from was from 2015, and this was posted August 11th of 2025. And so yes, an update 10 years later. So let's get into it. Well, hey, I never thought I'd find one of my posts in any best of subreddits, lol. Not sure I want to go through the trouble of posting a legit update, but basically 10 years later, they are married and being horrible people together. My sister pushed out a couple of kids, which Jerry, of course, uses as leverage to blackmail my parents into playing nice, aka not calling out his bullshit. Won't leave his kids alone with anyone in the family, except the people who he thinks like him. So just my aunt and uncle at this point. My parents tried the whole, you're an asshole, here's our boundaries talk, but that backfired and he threatened to cut my sister and her kids out of my parents' life, and my parents backed down immediately. Not great behavior if you want to stop a bully, but they want to make sure they can stay in their grandkids' lives, so I'm not pushing it. My dad finally acknowledged that not only is Jerry toxic, but so is my sister. So that's improvement at least. Nothing has really changed regarding my reduced/minimal contact with my sister. Thanks to a lot of support here and through therapy, I was able to figure out it isn't my nor my family's responsibility to fix my sister. It's also not my job to police other people's relationships. If she thinks her relationship is happy and healthy, and she's never asked my advice, what can I do? So I'm prioritizing myself and my mental health and letting her drown in her own bullshit. The last time I ever agreed to talk to my sister one-on-one, which wasn't really one-on-one because Jerry was clearly there listening in, she kept looking off screen and mouthing shit like we weren't doing a video call. She tried to take ownership of my young SA, lol, like it didn't happen to me. It actually happened to her. I just kind of nodded and listened, all the while internally screaming. I can't imagine being so delusional, but when we ended the call, I was more sad than anything. Why would she need to take ownership of something so traumatic and awful? I still don't understand it. Here's what I ended up doing overall. Number one, when he makes disparaging comments about my sister and family in front of me, he likes to comment on her intelligence, her weight, her parenting loudly and in front of others. I call him out immediately. I can't say I'm super abrasive about it, but he has stopped making comments in front of me. Number two, All of my contact with my sister is just to talk with her kids. Number 3, he doesn't get to be alone around me, my female family members, or our kids. No more forced hugs, no touching, nada. All in all, it's been a long 9 years of their bullshit with no real end in sight. I'd have to write a book to catalog it all, and I don't have the energy or the time to give her any more. I'm cordial to her and Jerry, and that's all they'll get from me. My 26 female boyfriend, who is 36 male, has started acting distant and ghosting me after meeting my parents, who are 49 male and 50 female, last week. How do I reach out to him? And now let's get into the post. My boyfriend Derek, fake name, and I met through mutual friends 6 months ago, and we immediately hit it off. He is sweet, funny, kind, and just generally a good guy. He is super extroverted, and I have never seen him dislike or not click with anyone. I mentioned him to my parents a couple of times, and they said they were excited to meet him. My parents live a road trip away, so me and Derek had to book a hotel nearby. About 2 weeks ago, we dropped all of our stuff in the hotel and arrived at my parents' house. My parents are the most welcoming people you'll ever meet. They have met some of my past significant others in the past and have always been warm and kind. Since both my parents and Derek are charismatic and welcoming, I thought that dinner would go smoothly, but I was wrong. It didn't start off too bad. My parents and Derek seemed a bit awkward, but I assumed he was just nervous. We sat for dinner and my parents asked us a couple of questions. How did we meet? How serious is the relationship? Etc., etc. I've never seen Derek stutter or hesitate before this dinner, but he did. As soon as I finished eating, he thanked my parents for dinner and said we had to go. It felt like he was rushing to get out of the house. When we got to the hotel room, he ran to the bathroom and I heard him throw up. He said he felt sick and he was going to head back home, but he insisted I stayed and enjoyed the rest of the trip without him. I agreed since I really missed my parents and he seemed to want to be alone. I texted him a couple of times asking how he was doing or if he felt better, but he didn't reply. After 2 days passed, I started to get really worried that maybe he was really sick and had to go to the hospital or something, so I cut the trip short and headed back home. I went to his apartment and saw he was okay. I asked him how he was doing and why he wasn't replying, and he said he felt fine and that I was overreacting. He told me he still felt sick and he wanted to be alone. I went back home and texted him, asking if anything is wrong and if our relationship was okay, since he was acting so weird and cold. A week has gone by since that text message and he has not replied. Derek is the last person I'd expect to ghost me. I'm torn between wanting to give him space and wanting answers. How do I even reach out to him without pushing him further away? And now let's get into some of the top comments. Someone says, ask your parents. It sounds like they know each other or something happened that you didn't see or something like that. And someone replies underneath that saying, I think OP should tell her parents that she spoke to Derek, but now needs to hear their side of the story. Clearly they have met previously, and there's a dodgy story to be told. Getting to the truth might require OP bluffing that she already knows. Another commenter says, your boyfriend's age definitely makes it possible that he may have had a prior run-in with one or both of your parents. Maybe it was intimate, maybe it wasn't, but the way you describe it definitely feels like your boyfriend saw one or both of your parents and the first thing that went through his head was, I have to get the F out of here and never look back. And then the OP posts an update. Let's get into it. Hey Reddit, I'm sorry I didn't reply to that many of your comments. They were mostly just saying Derek was secretly my brother, which is horrifying, so I wasn't sure how to reply. I tried to reply to questions when I saw them pop up. The past few days have been a mess, but now that everything is settled, I thought I would go on here and update all of you. I took your guys' advice and decided to speak to my parents rather than Derek to discover if maybe they said anything or knew each other in the past, like many of you suggested they might. 4 days ago, I called my mom and told her about Derek's weird reaction after our dinner. I asked her for advice and if she knew what happened. She was silent for a moment, and I heard her start crying. She started apologizing, and I didn't understand what she was trying to tell me at first. Eventually, I got her to calm down, and she told me what had happened. My mom is a high school teacher, and apparently Derek was her student in his senior year, and she told me that they had an affair. She didn't give me that many details. Honestly, I don't want to know. All she said is that they only slept together once before she shut it down, and that my father knew, and they had attended couples counseling years ago to work through this. She cried a lot and said it was her greatest regret. Then she told me she wanted me to break it off with Derek because he brought back really awful memories, and she found the age gap concerning. She's one to talk about age gaps, but ultimately, she said it was decision and she didn't want her past mistakes to ruin my relationship. I went to Derek's apartment again and he invited me in. He said he had to tell me something, but I stopped him and told him I had already talked to my mom and knew everything. He promised me he had no idea up until the point we had come over for dinner where he immediately recognized her. He apologized for ghosting me and said he just didn't know what to say, and he was scared that he would ruin my relationship with my parents or maybe ruin their marriage. I forgave him but told him that the whole situation was just way too messy for me, and he agreed. So yeah, that's how the past few days have gone down. Honestly, I do kind of miss Derek, but not too much since the whole banging my mom thing is a massive turnoff. Thank you all for the replies. I feel like I will never see my mom the same way again. How can I even work on rebuilding our relationship and trust moving forward? I think my boyfriend is trying to baby trap me. I don't know what to do. I need help, please. Throwaway for obvious reasons. I'm sorry for any errors. English is not my first language. I've been dating my boyfriend for a year. I live with him. My family life isn't great. My dad has been out of the picture for as long as I remember, and my mom is very mentally unstable. She has been diagnosed with BPD but isn't on treatment. She has always been a jealous person. She showers you with love and affection, but if you don't do the same for her, she will blow up. I've seen her do that to all of her partners and to me. She has been against me doing anything other than staying home with her for as long as I remember. Against me having friends, studying for school, working out, etc. Always putting me down for anything. She has had better and worse times, and the last year has been one of her downs. She went absolutely mental when she found out I had a boyfriend. She tried to prohibit me seeing him, made scenes whenever I spent time with him saying I'm changing her, etc. Went as far as trashing my room when I left for a whole day. One day I came home and she told me I either stay here with her and broke up with him, or when I leave, she will change the locks and never let me come back. I called my boyfriend crying and he offered for me to move in with him. I agreed. She has sent me pictures of her burning everything I had in my room, that she never wants to see me again, and that I am a terrible daughter. I made posts on Facebook calling me horrific names, etc. Everything has been going okay until about a week ago. I came home from school and told him we had vocational orientation and that a nurse had came to tell us about her career. I told him I thought what she did was really cool and I would love to be a nurse. He asked me if you had to study to be a nurse, and I said you had. It was about 3 years, I think. He then asked me when would we get married, and I laugh and say, I don't know, maybe after I finish the career. He frowned and said that he wanted to have kids young. I told him we could, just not that young. We still had plenty of time, and I thought it was best for the both of us to have careers before having kids. There wasn't a rush. He said he was running late for work and the conversation was cut short. He has since then done something really weird in which he starts talking semi-sarcastically about when I start studying and asking me things like if I'm going to go to parties or make more friends or I'll still have time for him. When I ask him why is he talking like that, he will deny using any tone. He has also started to try and convince me to have intimacy without a protection, saying that he will just pull out. One time, he even went as far as ignoring me when I asked him to put protection on, and he only stopped because I screamed at him. 3 days ago, I saw him doing something with the drawer where we keep our stash of protections open. When he saw me, he closed it quickly. I grew suspicious and went to look at them after he left. Some of them had little dots like they'd been poked. There were just 1/4 of them, so I feel like if I bring this up, he will deny it and say some were just broken. The other day I asked him that if he wanted to have intimacy without protection, maybe I should start doing hormonal BC. And he said those pills make you fat, and he doesn't want me being fat. He also made fun of me saying I'm being so dramatic about being scared of getting pregnant like it was a curse or something. I thought about talking it out with him and reassuring him that me wanting to go to college doesn't change anything on our relationship and we still have plenty of time to form a family. But maybe I'm being naive. I really do love him and I don't want to end this relationship. Up until now, he has been the biggest blessing. I don't know what else to do. I don't have access to my own money to get my own BC without him. I live with him. I don't have anywhere else to go. And then the OP posts an update the next day, which reads as follows. A couple of hours ago, I asked for help in a couple of subreddits for a specific situation with my boyfriend. Many people gave me advice and made me feel like I wasn't crazy, which I genuinely appreciate. But a lot of advice I was given revolved around me leaving or taking action behind his back. I started thinking, and I don't think the dynamics of our relationship are standard. It would really be hard for me to hide something from him. He takes care of everything money involved, which makes sense because he makes the money, but it is to the extent I don't remember him ever giving me cash, not even to buy the simplest, cheapest items. Whenever we need something, he goes and buys it. From groceries to clothes to everything. He has made me wait in stores with the things we need for the house for him to come to where I am and pay. Even when he charges my public transit card, he asks me how many trips I need to take and charges exactly the money for them, not 1 cent more. I have access to absolutely zero money. I used to think that this was just a quirk of his, but now I feel like it's deliberate. My phone doesn't have a plan, I just use Wi-Fi, and I have him as my emergency contact if I'm outside the house. I don't have friends or really any type of relationships that he isn't also friends with. All my friends are people he knew first. If I do anything without him, he insists on dropping me off and picking me up. He asks me for selfies of what I'm doing every hour of the day if we are apart. He convinced me to delete together all of our conventional social medias, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, claiming it's better for our mental health. And then he didn't delete his because he realized he needed them for his job. He doesn't know English, and he has started complaining whenever I consume any media in English, claiming it makes him feel left out, and he wants to be able to engage in my hobbies. With people recommending me to search for narcissist abuse, and other comments, I started to rethink most things I never really put much thought into or minded about. Maybe he has been controlling all along. I just didn't oppose any of his requirements until now. I guess I'm just used to having no control. With my mom, it was worse. At least he lets me enjoy myself. She would try to make me feel miserable every hour of the day. But at the same time, it's so much worse. Outside of empty threats, there was very little she could do after I was a teenager. She is fat and old, and I have little respect or love for her. She could trash my room or scream or not feed me all she wanted, but she couldn't retain me physically. With him, outside from being way stronger than me, I love him so much. I can't even picture myself ever finding the strength to leave. It really physically pains me to write this. I feel like I am delusional, and I want to be. I feel like such an empty shell of a human being, though I had control of my life for once, and I'm just in the same spot. And then the OP posts an update about a week later, which reads as follows. I posted the update a couple hours ago, and it got deleted by the mods because I wasn't specifically asking for advice. Fair enough. So I'm still asking for advice on the situation. I want feedback on my way of dealing with things. It helps me stop underestimating situations. I'm trying my best to be realistic. It's just hard sometimes when you have no idea what to do otherwise. Original post. Hi guys, I have a smallish update. People told me to contact my father's family for help. I tried and he smoothly told me he does not care. I have no close enough friends who aren't friends with him to reach out to, and there isn't a woman's shelter in my city. I'm also very adamant about contacting the police because my country's child laws are very strong on putting blood bonds over almost every type of abuse that is not full-blown, crude SA or physical abuse. I do not want to get back at my mom's house at any terms. I know there's a possibility that this isn't going to work out, and the way he was acting wasn't okay, but he has been so good to me since now. I feel like he deserves the benefit of the doubt. I spent the weekend trying to avoid having intimacy. I claimed I had some complications down there, which did happen before, so he understood and didn't push it any further. He did make one weird joke on Saturday when I got out of the shower and he saw me, and he said something along the lines of, "You don't let me get what's mine, I'll have to just get it myself." I guess he could see my facial expression that I didn't find it funny and assured me he was just joking. I genuinely believe it was just a joke that came off the wrong way. I managed to talk to a school friend and ask for help. Today we skipped the first period and went to a nearby Salida. I don't know how to describe it in English, but a very small hospital for neighborhoods. I got a BC shot. I hoped I would be able to get a 3 months one, but they didn't have any, so I have to go back every month to get it on the same day. I still think it's better than pills because that means I don't have to hide any item, and it was free. Yay. Thanks to the girl in Argentina that sent me the link to them. Later, I started stressing about what would happen if the day of the month falls on the weekend and I do not have school to use as an excuse, but I still have many months to go, so that's a future me problem. I will still try to stand my ground on him using contraceptives though. I know I need some type of backup plan if the situation goes south, so I applied for government aid that's supposed to be for high school students from public schools, and it's supposed to help you with money for uniforms or school supplies. It's not much, but I thought if I created a Mercado Pago account, PayPal for Argentina, that I can create from my home and put my money there in investing mode and can help it all not disappear from the inflation. I still don't know if I'm going to get accepted because it has a restriction on your parents' income, and I'm not sure how much they are making currently. If he still doesn't want me to study when I turn 18, I can apply for a program that helps you for 3 months financially for people who are suffering from DV. The program seems too good to be true though, so if someone in Argentina is reading this, can you tell me if it's accessible as it seems? As per today was such a shitty weird day. When I got home from school and he got home from work, I saw him and just started crying uncontrollably. He didn't ask me anything. He just held me and told me not to worry, that everything was going to be okay and that he was going to take care of me. I don't know if he had his own theory on why I was crying or if he didn't want to bother asking, but I ended up falling asleep while hugging him. It made me feel like a hypocrite. I feel like for the past few months, for the first time in my life, I was just able to put my guard down and not walk on eggshells, so it kind of sucks being back on analyzing everything someone says or does or makes me do. I woke up like 2 hours ago and he went back to work, so now I'm writing this, not knowing how to feel. And then the OP makes an update about a month later, which reads as follows. My boyfriend has been having a lot of violent activities and I need to get out of the relationship. But I'm kind of tied to him because I don't work and he supports me. I don't have any money that belongs to me and I don't have many people in my life to ask for help. Several months ago, he bought a laptop for me to use primarily, but he uses it too. I thought about taking it and maybe selling it if I need the money. Can he sue me and put me in a legal bardo? I am underage. He doesn't care so much about the legal implications as much as that by complaining about it, he can get the police to find out where I am and have access to me back. I'm 17 if it makes a difference. And that is just a terrifying update. The OP saying, my boyfriend has been having a lot of violent activities and I need to get out. And the OP can't get out because she has no money and no connections to help save her. But the OP posted an update 20 days later, and let's get into it. This is a long post, but please bear with me. I need advice in this situation, and I'm tired of feeling like I'm burdening the very few people I have in my life with my hesitation. I used this account to ask for advice a couple of times to know if my partner was being abusive or if I was being dramatic. You guys were right. From my first post, things just went downhill. I feel like he could sense I wanted to leave and became more hostile even. From slight controlling acts, it escalated to plain violence, physically and intimately. On top of that, I found him cheating and a lot of other worrying stuff on his phone, but that alone would take me a whole other post. I don't know how to leave. I have no money or anywhere to go. At the perfect time, I remembered a very specific figure from my past that had almost left my mind between traumatic events, who had promised to help me if anything wrong happened to me. I'm sorry this is vague. I do not want to give out any identifiable information. She agreed to help me. So without thinking about it for too long, I left him a note explaining why I was leaving without saying where to, and I left with like 2 t-shirts and my phone charger. This was last week, Monday. The person who has helped me escape has been nothing short of wonderful and the most loving human being, but that sadly hasn't made this past week any less horrifying. He tried contacting me on all platforms we have, and I answered all his first messages, explaining I am okay, but I don't want to go back, and block him afterward, except for email just in case. He started sending messages saying he couldn't live without me, asking me to come back. Then they fluctuated to full walls of paragraphs saying how much he hated me and how much of a horrible person I am and threatening physical violence. He then sent me a message with a folder with inappropriate pictures he had of me, saying he would share them if I didn't agree to see him. The pictures are half pictures of myself I knew he had, but they don't really show anything that would gain me a ban on Instagram. They are just suggestive. There are a whole other bunch of pictures that I sent him on limited time, agreeing to his persistence for them, and I had specifically asked not to screenshot, but oh well. In these pictures, I specifically didn't show my face or any defining feature that would tell it's me. The real issue comes with a couple of pictures he added where I am fully unclothed and you can recognize it's me. I did not take or consent to be taking these pictures. He had taken them while I was asleep/distracted. I don't think he'd be dumb enough to share this because I'm a very young person and doing so would F up his life way more than it would mine. Still, it scares me very much. His actions don't end here. He then proceeded to say if I didn't answer, he would find where I was and go kill me. My mom and a school friend asked me where I was because he had gone by their houses demanding to see me and threatening them if they didn't let him in. I made the terrible mistake of telling my mom where I was and what was going on. She didn't have much of a response other than telling me that it was my fault and that I deserved it because she always told me he was bad news. Well, it turns out my ex-boyfriend's mom called mine crying and pleading with her to convince her that I return home with him because she feared for his mental health. And the piece of shit I have the displeasure of calling my mom, I have told her where and with who I am. She informed this. Her excuse was that she knows how hard it is to be a mother, and she empathizes with her because I am a horrible human being that keeps hurting people. Since this, he has just sent me one email saying he knows where I am and nothing else. I am incredibly terrified and haven't left the house. Who I am staying with has encouraged me to file a lawsuit against him because then I can ask for state help, and I do have some evidence. I don't know what is the value of the evidence. I have the emails, screenshots from his phone, talking to his friends about me, and low-key admitting to SAing me, pictures of marks he has left on me, and a video of him hitting the door I'm hiding against, screaming, threatening to hurt me. I never till today thought about taking legal action. This whole experience has made me feel so weak. I feel if one more person starts questioning me, I will lose my sanity. I just want to move on with my life and leave everything that has to do with him behind. I am from a very small town, and people love him and his family. I feel that even if I have all the evidence in the world, the average person will still be on his side. I am an outsider with a mom known for losing her marbles. The only really weird thing that gave me a little bit of hope is that today one of the girls in his friend group contacted me and asked me if I was okay and to know my side of the story. She said she had created her suspicions one night when he went to hang out with his friends and he had gotten really drunk and really mad at me. She said she had seen him throwing and pushing me around. I hadn't even realized he was doing so. She said she believed me and she was proud of me for leaving. She has no reason for believing me over him or reaching out. It made me feel less crazy. I don't know if legal action will bring me more safety or just more mess. I don't care about justice anymore. I just want to live. And now let's get into some of the top comments. Someone says, yes, go to the police before he does try to end you. And another user says, OP, don't spend another minute on this app. Go to the police now and take every single shred of evidence you have. Start a paper trail on this POS. Get a restraining order and have it served to him by the police. Regard every single piece of contact from now on as harassment and add it to the file. Keep on building a case. If this man doesn't kill you, it will be someone else. And tell no one about your plans or location. Your safety comes first. And then we didn't get an update for 3 months. And everyone assumed the worst. But luckily, the OP came back with an update, which reads as follows. Hey everyone, I'm sorry for the long disappearance. My life has been stressful enough lately, and I just haven't had the energy to share what's been going on. I want to address something. So many people complained about me telling my mother where I was. I don't know why I did it. I know it was stupid. I think it was just wishful thinking. She would at least not try to actively hurt me. Sometimes I just make poor decisions. So I want to give you a fair warning that in the next weeks, I didn't make the smartest choices either. Please don't hate me for it. One of the reasons I'm updating now is that my previous post helped me remember things better. Without them, I'd keep convincing myself that things weren't as serious as they were, or that they didn't happen at all. It's tough explaining everything that's happened since my last post. I haven't written anything in the past 2 months, and it's all been a blur in my mind. I feel like I've been living in a fog for so long. After my last update, I got a restraining order against my ex-boyfriend, but I decided not to pursue legal action because some of me still loves him, and I didn't want to ruin his life. Things were calmer for about 2 weeks, but then my ex-boyfriend started reaching out again. I didn't take action the first time he contacted me. I had to go back to my city for some paperwork, and he found me. He asked to talk, and I agreed, hoping for closure since things ended so abruptly. I never got to explain what I found or why I wanted to get away from him. I know it sounds silly, but I just hoped to be able to understand him a little bit at least. So we met in a public place during the day to be safe. Unfortunately, our conversation mostly involved him blaming me for everything and denying his actions. Realizing it wasn't going anywhere, I left. He was a bit pushy about me staying, but eventually he let me go. Now he had ignored the restraining order, and I haven't done anything about it. As a result, he has become way more relaxed about taking it seriously. He started emailing me, but he wasn't aggressive, just asked to see me again repeatedly and sent me pictures of us. He went further and took a vacation week from work to come to the town I was in. He got a room there, and every time I got out of the house, he would drive by my side and try to talk to me. Surprisingly, he was very calm and respectful during these encounters. I know it was a dumb decision, but I just couldn't bear any more dealing with the police or confrontation. Plus, I feared that they would blame me for not calling them the first time he showed up. And he wasn't being mean to me, which was the only thing I cared about, so I thought I could ignore it and that eventually it would stop. I know I'm stupid for doing so. My reasoning was to just do whatever is easier for the next 6 minutes of survival. He became more demanding about me going back to him, just slowly starting to lose his patience. I thought he might just be about to give up. Well, I've never been more wrong in my life. This is the part where I add the big trigger warning. He forced me into his car, and now I'd rather just say that an ADN kit, meant to say DNA, I forgot its different letters in English, was enough to get him facing a whole spectrum of charges. I don't really know what his ultimate plan was, but after he left me in a rural area near the city, and he cut the sole of my feet so I couldn't walk, I sat there crying for hours until someone found me and helped me. He also took my phone, which I now have back. Anyway, I was taken to the police, and he now has an actual case against him. I haven't seen him since then, but the case is probably going to take forever to resolve. I was forced to go back to my mom's house, so it feels like bouncing from one narcissist to another. I feel stuck in a cycle. I want to move to the capital city of my province when I turn 18 and leave everything behind me. Right now, everyone in my town looks at me weirdly, and even the sympathetic ones make me feel like they just see me as a helpless pet they pity. I don't know if that makes sense. Until 2 days ago, I was sure to do it with a new friend and some of her friends who are renting a house altogether for dirt cheap there. But I'm second guessing myself. I'm scared I'll get there and won't be able to get a job. Also, everyone there is a little bit heavy on the drug use, and I just feel like it might be a very unstable living arrangement. If it fails, they can just go back to their parents' house, but I can't do that. Also, I literally don't know any of them, so I don't know. I just really want to leave. My mom has been making me feel shitty, even if she isn't trying to lay hands on me that much. And that is the last update we have received from the OP. And all I can hope is that the OP's ex-boyfriend is locked away for a long time, because he is just a monster. I mean, just a monster. Nothing short of a horrific human being. And I feel so bad for the OP because the OP has nowhere to go. She can't even trust her mom. Her father doesn't want to talk to her, and she doesn't seem to have any friends that can reach out and help her. And so I really hope that the OP, since this last update, has been doing better. Am I the asshole for flirting with 19-year-old girls and defending myself when being called a predator? I'm 31 and recently ended a long-term relationship. I was broken. I recently went to this cool restaurant/bar downtown with one of my buddies to have a good time. Anyone of age can come in. While we were there was a girl who was celebrating her 19th birthday. They sang happy birthday, and they were allowed an outside cake with 19 on it. The birthday girl was pretty, so I wanted to go chat her up. Her friends were super cute too. My buddy told me to leave them alone and that they looked like babies. He didn't want to go over at first, but since the breakup, every other woman but my ex has been invisible. So he went to wingman with me. We walked over and wished her a happy birthday. I thought things were going well and the women were laughing. Then all of a sudden, one of the girls snaps at me to take a effing hint, R. Kelly. I was taken aback and just said, "Excuse me?" She said to read the room and that they were uncomfortable. Another asked us to go away. I was going to go, but I was really bothered by the R. Kelly comment. I said it's effed up to call me a predator when we are all adults here. My buddy wanted to leave, but I stood my ground. The birthday woman said that it didn't matter. It's weird for someone my age to hit on them, especially when they make it obvious that they are uncomfortable. Then they made another R. Kelly comment by asking if she looked like Alia to me, which upset me again. I apologized for making them uncomfortable, but that didn't give them the right to call me a predator. One of the women said it was a personal problem. I said that adults are allowed to hit on other adults. It's not a crime. One woman just asked why I was still standing there and yelled at me to go away. I was pissed off, and when I left, their entire table was singing Remix to Ignition and laughing their asses off. I was furious and humiliated. When we sat back down, I was seething. My buddy said that it was my fault for not seeing the signs that they were uncomfortable. To him, it was obvious, so he wanted to go. He called me delusional. I pointed out that they were laughing, and he said it was just uncomfortable laughter. I told him that I had every right to be mad about being called a predator when they were all 18 and 19. It's a horrible accusation to make. My ex was 6 years older than me. He said that they weren't calling me a predator, just weird for going for teens. He said it was wrong for them to sing after me and that was bullying, but I should have left long before that. I felt like he should have stuck up for me. Was I wrong for sticking up for me or for hitting on them in the first place? I was respectful and not creepy at all though. Edit, for the record, I do date women my age and older. This was the first time I approached much younger women. Edit, alright guys, I get it. I let my pride get in the way of things here. Can't fix it. We'll do better next time. And now let's get into some of the top comments. Someone says, "You're the asshole for being creepy, not taking a hint, and arguing about it to women who asked you to leave. You're upset about being called a predator, but don't seem to care that your inappropriate behavior made a group of women in public feel uncomfortable." Someone replies to that saying, "Typical nice guy." And then someone else replies to that saying, "The table singing Remix to Ignition was also hilarious and how badly it pissed off the OP." Another commenter says, "He is extra. You're the asshole for standing his ground when they asked him to leave. What did he think would happen?" And I completely agree. What does he mean standing his ground? Like, you got rejected, dude. Leave. You're being weird. And the commenter continues saying, "They would admire his persistence and realize they were all wrong all along, and he was actually a nice guy who they should all sleep with." Another commenter says, "You're the asshole. The fact that both the girls and your friend easily recognized it, that it was creepy to hit on her, should tell you that it wasn't okay." And then someone else says, "You're the asshole. You're 31 hitting on a 19-year-old, and you can't confirm how old the other girls were? Probably around 18 or 19. That's very creepy. And you made them uncomfortable, and then didn't take a hint, then got mad when they had to be mean to you for you to go away, and you still didn't go away. This is predatory behavior, and I'm not really sure what you thought was going to happen." And then we never heard from that OP again, but guess what? One of the young women in the group at the restaurant found the post and made a post about it, titled, "We called a guy trying to hit on us, R. Kelly, then we sang Ignition." He made a post about it. Now let's get into it. I have never had a Reddit account before, but my journalism TA showed us it, and sometime I'll just check the front page for news. Earlier, I saw a post up there that basically described my birthday dinner like 3 weeks ago. At first, I didn't give a fuck, but now I just felt the need to clarify a few things. Even though I knew most people called him an asshole, some people got aggy about the R. Kelly comment and singing Ignition. Was it mean? Yes, but I'm done being nice to creeps. This was not a bar. It was a bar and grill, but it was mainly a restaurant that just happened to serve drinks. We were sitting near family, so we weren't in a setting where people go to get hit on. We were minding our business and laughing in the corner booth. He came and wished me a happy birthday. I said thanks, and we all went back to our conversation. I did appreciate being told happy birthday, but he stuck around. We laughed uncomfortably and went back to our conversation. He stuck around and kept interrupting us. Each time he said something, we nodded and then turned our backs to him. We said thank you, bye a few times, but he was still just standing there, talking to us. His friend kept finding excuses to leave. I was annoyed, uncomfortable, and disgusted, but I gave him a respectful, okay, have a good night. Here's some cake for home. Bye. But he grabbed the cake and sat down in our booth. He said, the night's not over yet. Then my friend just snapped. And if she didn't, I was going to. When she called him R. Kelly, she wasn't accusing him of being a predator, but a creep. 30-year-old guys who hit on us are creepy and disgust us. Point blank period. We were nice the entire time, and I even gave them a million hints and cake for the road. His friend was even finding reasons for them to leave. Then he had the audacity to stand there and fight us on it. I told him that he was way too old for us, and it was creepy from the start. When he left, we started singing Ignition among ourselves, not singing it after him. It's a throwback that our parents put us on. Instead of crying over our night being ruined by a creep, we turned it into a fun moment with karaoke. P.S. When he asked us our age and gave us his, we became a million times more uncomfortable. The guy was 30, trying to get with 18-year-olds at a birthday dinner. We're used to old men bothering us, and it's always gross. To the if he wasn't ugly crowd, he was a decent-looking fit guy. If never met him, I'd set him up with my aunt. But he was in his 30s, and that is way too old. This isn't adult videos, and I haven't met a single girl despite for 30-year-old divorced guys. Being called legal is demeaning. Everything about it was sickening. When we came over, announced his age, then asked us ours, I almost yacked. It was like he was IDing us at a family restaurant. Get out of here. I'm tired of having to be polite to guys who are creepy and disrespectful. Edit. 30-year-olds aren't gross by being 30. Everyone gets older. 30-year-olds who bother you to flirt during the birthday dinner are. Edit. I really appreciate the support, but please don't spend your money on gold for me. That's not why I posted, but I do appreciate it. And now let's get into some of the top comments here. Someone says, oh my God. I literally thought they were at a club the way he was describing the situation, but they were basically at a family restaurant and he's scooching himself into the bench saying, the night's not over yet, to a bunch of teenagers, which is absolutely psychotic. And then someone replies saying, right? His version had me picturing them in a bar, standing around tables, loud music, etc. The update has me like, sir, this is an Applebee's. How do I, 30 female, uninvite our creepy neighbor, 70s male, to my son's first birthday party? We moved into this house 3.5 months ago. Our neighbor across the street introduced himself right away. In the weeks/months following, we've chatted outside a few times a week. He's brought us food a handful of times. I baked him cookies for Christmas. He seems just like a typical older man/nice neighbor. We invited him to our son's first birthday, which is coming up soon. I sent out the invite and received a verbal confirmation that he's coming. This was 2 weeks ago. Since then, he's done and said some things that make me really uncomfortable, and I don't want him at the party anymore. Creepy thing number 1. He's been inviting us to happy hour since we moved in, saying he has a babysitter for us. I would just kind of ignore him on the babysitter front because my son is breastfed and doesn't take a bottle, and frankly, I'd find my own babysitter if I wanted to, which I don't. I haven't been away from my son since he was born, and I'm just not ready yet. We thought he just wanted to hang out, so my husband went out to lunch with him. He still insisted on happy hour / babysitter. So I invited him to our place for dinner, thinking he wanted to socialize with both of us. He declined, but continued pushing happy hour / babysitter. Then he brought this lady to our house unannounced to introduce us. I was polite and said hi, and they left. He kept bugging my husband about happy hour, so finally I said to him, "Okay, let's go. I'll bring the baby and wear him in a carrier." To which he responds, "Why don't you trust the lady I introduced you to?" I just explained the breastfeeding situation and used that as an excuse. So he basically keeps pushing this sitter on us. I don't think much of it until the other creepy things happened. Creepy thing number 2. He comes to our house the night of the happy hour, already a little buzzed, and makes a comment about how cute my son is and that he could possibly get $50 to $100 if he sold him. No one laughed. My husband said something like, "No, we're good," and he said he was joking and moved on. Creepy thing number 3. While out to happy hour, he asked how our son was sleeping. I said he still wakes frequently, and he responded by saying, "Well, you can just throw him in my spare bedroom tonight and pick him up in the morning." I gave a disgusted look, and he responds, "Sorry, I have a sick sense of humor." Creepy thing number 4. My husband was outside playing with our son, and the neighbor walks up and says hi, then immediately tries to pick the baby up. My husband basically intercepted the baby and turned away from the neighbor guy, who just started walking back to his house. He's never held our son before, and normal people usually ask first. Anyway, all of these things together weird me out. Pushing the babysitter super hard, making disturbing jokes, and trying to hold him without asking. Am I overreacting? I really don't want him at the party around my son or other kids now. How do I keep him from coming? And now let's get into some of the top comments. I hate to say this, but have you tried looking him up on the SO registry? Because that's beyond creepy. Another user says, the fact that he acknowledged his joke as being sick kind of suggests that he isn't just clueless / lonely. Trust your gut and maybe try to look into his background. And then someone replied to that saying, yes, consider those remarks in the context of this list of predator warning signs, and it's outright chilling. Number 1, someone who repeatedly ignores social, emotional, or physical boundaries or limits. Check. Number 2, someone who singles out one child as a special friend, lavishing them with a lot of extra attention, gifts, flattery, developing an age-inappropriate relationship with that person, yet to be seen. Number 3, someone who often insists upon or suggests a lot of uninterrupted alone time with that minor. Check. Number 4, someone who refuses to let a minor set any of his or her own limits, yet to be seen, but disregards parents' limits. Number 5, someone who insists on hugging, touching, kissing, tickling, wrestling with, or holding the minor, even when the minor does not want this physical contact or attention, yet to be seen, though he has already crossed a boundary in an inappropriate manner, i.e. trying to pick the kid up without parent permission. Number 6, someone who shares inappropriate personal or private information with that minor. That should normally be shared with adults only, yet to be seen. Number 7, someone who frequently points out inappropriate images, suggestive stories, or jokes with minors present. Check. Number 8, someone who seems overly interested in the personal details of a particular minor or teen and talks repeatedly about the teens or minors' personal details. Yet to be seen. Number 9, someone who appears to be too good to be true, frequently offering to babysit different minors for free, taking minors on special outings alone, often buying minors gifts or giving them money for no apparent reason, especially an adult who does not have minors of their own. Check. Number 10, someone who frequently walks in on minors when they are in a private place. Yet to be seen. And I'm sorry I had to use minors throughout there. I just can't use the other word. Yes, I know it's ridiculous. Given the context that this minor is newly born and he may have only begun his manipulation where the parents are concerned, this seems adequately unsettling. And then a person replies to this saying, I don't know. He also seems like someone who would kidnap a minor for money. It's more alarming to me that he used that selling joke. And then someone else replies saying, that's where my mind went to. Random babysitter that he recommends and taking them out of their home, asking if the minor sleeps through the night. LA, will the parents check with him in the morning? And then another commenter says, personally, I'd go the honesty route. Confront him and tell him how his recent behavior around your son has made you uncomfortable, and that you no longer feel comfortable having him attend your son's party. You definitely don't owe him this explanation, and I feel like that's the best way to get him to leave you alone. Best case scenario, he apologizes and leaves you alone. Worst case scenario, he gets angry. I like to assume the best in people, but ultimately it's your judgment call based on your dynamic / how you think he'll respond. And the OP responds to this and says, I actually think this is the best approach I'm going to take. No one can really come, so we've trimmed it to just a small family lunch at a restaurant. And then someone else says, look, I'm pretty trusting and really try to give people the benefit of the doubt, but I honestly cannot think of a reasonable / non-creepy explanation for his behavior. Just the jokes? People are awkward and don't always know how to behave in a socially appropriate manner. Just offering the babysitter? Maybe he's just trying to be nice, although this is super weird. Both of these things together? Nope. All the nope. One of the other comments suggested saying something like, it's not going to work out having you at the party. We have to trim the guest list, unfortunately. I think that is your best way out. If he starts asking more questions or being curious, remember that you don't owe him an explanation. Best of luck with this. And then the OP posts an update, and let's get into it. After posting this, my husband and I decided next time we saw one of our neighbor outside, we would tell him the plans for the party had changed, and it was just family now. Well, 3 weeks passed and we never ran into him once, which is unusual because he's retired and home all day. And so are we because I'm a stay-at-home mom and my husband works from home. I'm certain after the awkward incident in the driveway where he tried to pick our kid up and then scurried away, he was avoiding us, which I'm more than fine with. Realizing we weren't going to see him in person, I asked my husband to send him a text message explicitly uninviting him to a party. He wrote the words, "We are rescinding your invitation." The reason I wanted it to be explicit is because I took the advice from the post and spoke to the sheriff's office. They told me if we explicitly tell him to stay away and he doesn't, then they will come and help. Our neighbor never responded to the text message and he didn't show up to the party. He has still been avoiding us as well, which is a big relief. Some people in the post told us to move, which just isn't going to happen. We just bought this house, and it's our first and hopefully only house. We saved for a decade, moved across the country, picked the best school district in a location with low taxes, privacy, and the recreation and weather we like. It's a beautiful, perfect house in a beautiful and perfect location. We are hoping this unhealthy, alcoholic, 70-something-year-old neighbor will either move or pass away sooner than later. He's mentioned moving to a closer to his honey, so fingers crossed. We've taken some other security measures. We installed 3 outdoor security cameras. We also had shades installed, new construction home, and didn't come with window treatments. We have future plans to extend our fence to the front of our house and install a driveway gate, but we need to save some more money first. And like I said, I spoke to law enforcement. He's not registered as an SO in this county, and I couldn't find anything online regarding criminal activity either. They confirmed that his actions and comments were unusual and told me to call them if he ever comes by after we tell him not to. I also Facebook messaged his next door neighbor. He mentioned her and her daughter numerous times, but I never once saw them speak or say hi or anything. I thought mother to mother, maybe she could tell me more about him. Unfortunately, she never messaged me back and I never see her outside. We are extremely vigilant watching our son when we play in the front of the house, but we just had our backyard redone, so we won't have to be in the front anymore once the sod is settled. He's a big, healthy 12-month-old, and we aren't going to let anything happen to him. And that is the last update we've received from the OP. Am I the asshole for not letting my psychopath little sister see my dog? For context, I, 25 female, recently moved out of my parents' house. My younger sister has always stole my parents' attention, and in numerous occasions has proven to have psychopathic behaviors. For example, she has killed numerous family pets. My dad always has wanted to punish her, but my mom defended her, saying that she didn't know any better. Now, a year later, I got my first pet. His name was Arlo. He was a golden retriever rescue dog, and he lived with me while I searched for apartments. He was about 5 years old, but he was my best friend. I have never been the one to have the biggest friend group, so taking Arlo out every day was what got me out of bed every morning. One day, I arrived at my parents' house after work, but didn't hear Arlo's distinctive bark. I thought the worst, so I ran to my room, where Arlo was shaking and whining in agony. My sister had arrived after school and wanted to use Arlo as a pony, ending in a broken spine. In summary, Arlo ended up being buried in our backyard a few hours later. Again, my mom didn't do anything and said, "She's just a kid. Let her do what she wants." A few days ago, my maternal aunt gifted me a Labrador puppy, which I named Buzz. I posted a story on Instagram, but my family saw it, and now my mom can't stop texting me that my sister wants to meet him. I told her that she won't be seeing him anytime soon. My mom didn't stop insisting, so I ended up blocking her. Yesterday, I woke up with my dog barking at my face. Turns out, my mom had taken my sister out of school so that she could meet my puppy. I didn't open the door, but a few minutes later, my sister grabbed her school lunch, banging my window, almost breaking it. I told my mom to control her daughter, but she didn't respond and only stood there, watching the chaos unload. I had to call the cops to get them to go away. My dog was terrified, and I was too. Am I the asshole? And now let's get into some of the top comments. Someone says, "You need to report this to the authorities. Your sister is abusing pets and your parents are letting her. Next, they'll probably get another dog and she'll terrorize it. Please report them to animal shelters and or breeders in the area so they can't get another dog. And put cameras around your home. Make sure your doors and windows are locked. And don't tell your family where you take the dog for walks. And don't take the dog to family events because your sister will hurt it." Another person says, "There's something mentally wrong with your sister, and your mom for that matter. My youngest son is 6 and would never sit on a dog. He knows it's unkind to the dog and dangerous for himself. A child your sister's age should know these things. Your mom is totally in denial." Another person says, "School? It's July. Most countries have summer break in the summer for students." And the OP replies and says, "We live in the South Hemisphere. So actually, my sister just came back from winter break. I'm sorry if any of you don't understand." Another person says, "In what world are you the asshole? If your story is true and you know she's killed a number of pets, how could you ever imagine being wrong here?" And the OP responds and says, "So I actually thought I might be because when speaking to my brother, who's right now in college, by the way, he said that he agreed with me, but maybe it was too harsh on calling the cops. I'm sorry for not being specific." And then the OP also clarifies some things in a comment. Let's get into it. "Hi, I just posted this a few hours ago, but I thought I might clarify a few things a lot of you have asked me about. Number one, we live in the South Hemisphere, and my little sister just got out of winter break from school. She's not on summer break until early December. Number two, the pets that my sister had killed until now were numerous hamsters, fish, and a baby chick my brother got for his birthday. I left Arlo at home, locked in a space only I could access in the backyard. My mom/sister somehow got the keys to the gate, and my sister rode him on the backyard. Number three, my dad is a pilot. That's why we don't see him around that often. From what I know, my dad is trying to get a divorce from her and full custody of my sister. Number four, before burying him, my dad did take Arlo to the vet with me, where they discovered the spine injury. Then I confronted my mom, where she admitted to my sister sitting on his back. I'll hope to update soon. I already bought a Ring camera, and I'm searching for a new apartment." Another commenter says, "Okay, so I need to ask this, but I don't feel very comfortable asking it. Does she have some sort of mental disability? I only ask this as while I do believe in some kids will be kids attitude, she's a teenager now. 1 year ago with the Arlo incident, she would have been around a preteen. No preteen would genuinely think riding a dog like a pony would be a good idea. That should be basic common sense, but for any 8-year-old, certainly by 10, until she shows otherwise. Don't let her anywhere near animals." And the OP responds and says, "Not that I know of. I've never been close with my mom or my sister, so I doubt it, but wouldn't discard anything." And then the OP posts an update 1 month later, and let's get into it. "Hi guys, so it's been exactly 27 days since I uploaded the story, and it blew up. I can't thank you all for the support, and even though the comments got locked, some of you cared enough to DM me privately. Words can't express how grateful I am. Now, before I actually tell you guys what has been going on with this, I wanted to address the comments that said this story is fake or used for creative writing, which were a handful. I'm glad your family life isn't as crazy as mine, and that you didn't have to deal with this constantly. So, the past few weeks have been hectic. I reported my mom to the CPS version there is of my country, and she is under investigation. Meanwhile, my sister is now under custody of my dad. I've been looking for apartments out of my city, and am not planning to give any of my family that address, much less give them a pair of keys. My maternal aunt, the one that gifted me Buzz, has been taking care of him this past few weeks because I was terrified of what happened and because right now I'm living in a hotel. There is not much to say, but I'll hope to update you guys soon. Thanks again for all of the support, and any suggestions are appreciated." And now let's get into some of the top comments. Someone says, "Your sister needs to be locked away, not given to your father. She murdered numerous animals and broke a dog's spine, for fuck's sake. She needs locking up and medicating. If I was your dad, I'd sleep with one eye open. Do not allow her around you or any pets ever, even if they get her help. Cut them all out. And go get your little buddy back. He's probably missing you." And then the OP posts an update post 1.5 months later, which reads as follows. "Hey guys, it's been a while, but I'm proud to say that Buzz and I are safe and healthy and away from my mom and sister. I just moved to the other side of the country, next to Buzz and my recently graduated brother. My mom is now not legally allowed to see me or the rest of my family. My sister is in safe custody of my father and taking the treatment that she needs. I got a new job with very decent pay, more than enough to pay rent and utilities, and my brother is working online from home and also taking care of Buzz. I know this is a very short update, but I just wanted to let you guys know how I've been. Hopefully there's no more drama, and hopefully I won't have to make another update. Thank you all for your support throughout all of this. I am very grateful. And then one commenter comments underneath this saying, does your sister have a diagnosis? Do you know how she's doing away from your mother? And the OP responded and said, I have very little contact with my father because of the enabling. So the only thing I know is what I already said in the post. She was diagnosed with antisocial personality disorder, or ASPD.